to national prominence. The late Honorable Johana Ngeno, CBS MP. Born in 1972 in rural Narok, Ngeno rose from modest beginnings through education, eventually training as a lawyer.
Mimi Johana Ngeno Kipyegon, nikiwa nimechaguliwa kama mwanachama wa bunge la kitaifa, na hapa kwamba kwa jina la Mwenyezi Mungu kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu na mtiifu kwa watu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, kwamba nitatii, nitaheshimu, nitatetea, nitatunza, nitahifadhi na kulinda katiba ya Jamhuri ya Kenya, na kwamba nitayatekeleza majukumu yangu kwa ubunge, kwa uaminifu na kwa uangalifu. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu nisaidie.
In 2013, voters in Emurua Dikir sent him to parliament, a mandate they renewed twice more. Inside the National Assembly, Ngeno was known for his sharp interventions and commanding presence.
Madam Speaker, the reason why Ukraine or even Russia, even at this particular moment when there is real war in those countries, why they still have even sufficient food to give to other countries is because 3/4 of their land is arable and they use it for farming, not for living. People live in towns in those countries. The rest of the country is purely for farming, wheat, barley, and many other stuff. That is why they can afford, even during war, to supply us with food, as we have no war, as we have never had any war within ourselves. But our people are hungry. They are sleeping hungry. Why? Because we do not utilize the land that we have. I support this, Madam Speaker.
But beyond the fiery exchanges, he held significant legislative responsibility. He served as chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works, a powerful docket at a time when housing reform dominated national debate.
Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44-2, Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a statement as the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing and Urban Planning and Public Works regarding the construction of 100 affordable housing units at the constituency level. Mr. Speaker, Article 43 of the Constitution provides that every person has the right to accessible and adequate housing and to reasonable standard of sanitation. Mr. Speaker, that is a provision of our Constitution which was done or promulgated in 2010. And as we speak, Mr. Speaker, around 80% of Kenyans are living on houses that do not fit in this particular category of the constitutional provision.
Under his leadership, the committee steered deliberations that culminated in the passage of the Affordable Housing Act 2024, legislation aimed at expanding access to affordable homes, streamlining housing development, and formalizing funding mechanisms for the program.
The projects which the President launched 3 months, 4 months, 5 months ago, 6 months ago are in good progress. So that is one of the scorecard which I believe the President is proud of. So I want to say we are also as a committee proud that most of the projects which we appropriated money for are in good progress and so far so good.
As chair, Ngeno oversaw stakeholder submissions, committee scrutiny, and parliamentary debate around one of the most consequential housing reforms in recent years. He also served as a member of the Liaison Committee, which coordinates and harmonizes the work of parliamentary committees, further placing him at the center of legislative oversight. Back home in Narok, his focus remained grassroots. Through the Constituency Development Fund, he supported school infrastructure, bursaries for needy students, and local public works projects. For many in Emurua Dikir, he was more than a parliamentarian. He was a visible presence in classrooms, community meetings, and development projects. From shaping national housing policy to championing local education, Johana Ng'eno's political journey reflected the intersection of grassroots politics and national reform. Ng'eno's legislative imprint remains part of the country's evolving urban development story. On 28 February 2026, he died in a tragic helicopter crash in Mosop, Nandi County, alongside 5 others. A life of service was cut short. His family mourns a husband, a father, and a son. The National Assembly feels his absence. Emurua Dikir constituency mourns its son. Kenya will forever remember a leader whose impact will endure. May Honorable Johana Ng'eno rest in peace.
That was a video tribute prepared by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit celebrating the life and times of the late Member of Parliament for Emurua Dikir, Honorable Johana Ng'eno, who died in a helicopter crash in Mosop constituency of Nandi County on Saturday alongside its aides. And it is an emotional afternoon for the members of Parliament who shared in legislative matters with the late Honorable Member of the National Assembly. This afternoon, there will be a procedural motion on the resolution not to hold a sitting on Wednesday morning. That motion will be moved this afternoon. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, is walking into the chambers to oversee the business of the National Assembly this afternoon. My name is Edward Kabasa. On behalf of the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit and KBC, enjoy your viewing.
Mheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetoa nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tulikutanika hapa na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikisha mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako siendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao hajazao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, ring the quorum bell.
The Speaker has ordered the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes to allow the House to quorate so that the business of the National Assembly can begin. We will rerun the dedication to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Emurua Dikir, Johana Ng'eno, who passed away on Saturday.
In the vast plains of Narok County, where tradition and modern Kenya meet, one leader rose from humble beginnings to national prominence. The late Honorable Johana Ng'eno, CBS MP. Born in 1972 in rural Narok, Ngeno rose from modest beginnings through education, eventually training as a lawyer.
Mimi Johana Ngeno Kipyegon nikiwa nimechaguliwa kama mwanachama wa bunge la kitaifa, na hapa kwamba kwa jina la Mwenyezi Mungu kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu na mtiifu kwa watu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, kwamba nitatii, nitaheshimu, nitatetea, nitatunza, nitahifadhi na kulinda katiba ya Jamhuri ya Kenya, na kwamba nitayatekeleza majukumu yangu kwa ubunge, kwa uaminifu na kwa uangalifu. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu nisaidie.
In 2013, voters in Emurua Dikir sent him to parliament, a mandate they renewed twice more. Inside the National Assembly, Ngeno was known for his sharp interventions and commanding presence.
Madam Speaker, the reason why Ukraine or even Russia, even at this particular moment when there is real war in those countries, why they still have even sufficient food to give to other countries is because 3/4 of their land is arable and they use it for farming, not for living. People live in towns in those countries. The rest of the country is purely for farming, wheat, barley, and many other stuff. That is why they can afford, even during war, to supply us with food, as we have no war, as we have never had any war within ourselves. But our people are hungry. They are sleeping hungry. Why? Because we do not utilize the land that we have. I support this, Madam Speaker.
But beyond the fiery exchanges, he held significant legislative responsibility. He served as chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works, a powerful docket at a time when housing reform dominated national debate.
Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44-2, Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a statement as the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing and Urban Planning and Public Works regarding the construction of 100 affordable housing units at the constituency level. Mr. Speaker, Article 43 of the Constitution provides that every person has the right to accessible and adequate housing and to reasonable standard of sanitation. Mr. Speaker, that is a provision of our Constitution which was done or promulgated in 2010. And as we speak, Mr. Speaker, around 80% of Kenyans are living on houses that do not fit in this particular category of the constitutional provision.
Under his leadership, the committee steered deliberations that culminated in the passage of the Affordable Housing Act 2024, legislation aimed at expanding access to affordable homes, streamlining housing development, and formalizing funding mechanisms for the program.
The projects which the President launched 3 months, 4 months, 5 months ago, 6 months ago are in good progress. So that is one of the scorecard which I believe the President is proud of. So I want to say we are also as a committee proud that most of the projects which we appropriated money for are in good progress and so far so good.
As chair, Ngeno oversaw stakeholder submissions, committee scrutiny, and parliamentary debate around one of the most consequential housing reforms in recent years. He also served as a member of the Liaison Committee, which coordinates and harmonizes the work of parliamentary committees, further placing him at the center of legislative oversight. Back home in Narok, his focus remained grassroots. Through the Constituency Development Fund, he supported school infrastructure, bursaries for needy students, and local public works projects. For many in Emurua Dikir, he was more than a parliamentarian. He was a visible presence in classrooms, community meetings, and development projects. From shaping national housing policy to championing local education, Johana Ngeno's political journey.
We now have quorum to transact business of the House. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Go on.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd March 2026. Report of the Auditor General and financial statement for the year ended 30th June 2025 and the certificates therein in respect of the following institution. Number 1, Affordable Housing Fund, Hamed Shahame Muidani Technical Training Institute, Assets Recovery Agency, Butere Technical and Vocational College, Chama cha Mashinani, Chama cha Uzalendo, Devolution Empowerment Party, Egerton University Investment, Kenya Airport Authority, Kenya Railway Corporation, Kenya Roads Board, Kenya School of Law, Kenya Social Congress KSC, Kenya Union Party, Kinango Technical and Vocational College, Kwale Teachers Training College, Likoni Technical and Vocational College, Maendeleo Chap Party, MCC, Muungano Party, National Housing Corporation, National Ordinary People Empowerment Union, National Reconstruction Alliance, National Transport and Safety Authority, Omuga Technical and Vocational College, Orange Democratic Movement, Orogare Technical and Vocational College, Party of National Unity, People's Liberation Party, Progressive Party of Kenya, Rachonyo Technical and Vocational College, Receiver of Revenue Statement, State Law Office and Department of Justice, Riatirimba Technical and Vocational College, Safina Party, Sikri Technical and Vocational College, Technical University of Mombasa, Tujibebe wa Kenya Party, Ubuntu People's Forum Party, United Party of Independent Alliance, and 39, Wumingu Technical and Vocational College. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I lay.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, Kimani.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House. Today, let me repeat, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, the 3rd of March, 2026. The report on Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on its consideration of the National Infrastructure Fund, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2026. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure. Wapi GK? Majority Leader, do you know anything about them? Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Rahab Mukami, member for Nyeri. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, Kimani. Okay. Did you table the Safaricom report? Later today or tomorrow? Tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon. So you have no notice of motion to give. Okay. Next.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We'll stay that order for about an hour so that we dispose of a few other orders. Go to order number 9 and 10 first.
Order number 9, motion, consideration of the 2026 debt management strategy. Question to be put.
Thank you, honorable members. I'll now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House adopts the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee on its consideration of the medium-term debt management strategy for the financial year 2026-27 to 2028-29, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 25th February 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 15(4) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and Standing Order 232A 7 and 8, A, approves the medium-term debt management strategy for the financial years 2026-2027 to 2028-2029. B, makes the policy and financial resolutions contained in the schedule to the order papers. Members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order number 10, motion, examination of the report of the Auditor General on financial statements for the national government. Question to be put.
Now, members, I now put the question at order number 10, which is that this House adopts the report of the Public Accounts Committee on its examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the national government ministries, departments, and agencies for the financial year 2022-2023, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 19th February 2026. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge a visiting institution, Kenya Institute of Management, Utawala Branch, from Embakasi East, Nairobi. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome them to the House of Parliament. Go back to order number 2. I have a comment, call out order number 2.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, after this communication, we'll go to order number 8, a procedural motion moved by the majority leader. After that procedural motion, I will give the House 1 hour to eulogize our departed colleague from Emurua Digiri. We'll tell you the time allocated to whoever is given the privilege to speak. So members on their feet there, take your seats, the nearest seats. Honorable members, allow me to make the following communication in relation to the demise of the member for Emurua Digiri constituency, the late Honorable Johanna Ngeno Kipyegon, CBS MP. Honorable members, you may recall that on Saturday, 28th February 2026, I did notify all honorable members and the general public and the general public of the untimely and tragic demise of the Member of Parliament for Emurua Digiri constituency, the late Honorable Johanna Ngeno Kipyegon, CBS MP. The late member lost his life in a helicopter crash on the evening of Saturday, 28th February 2026 in Chepkiep area, Mosop constituency, Nandi County. He passed on alongside 5 other occupants of the ill-fated helicopter, namely Lieutenant Colonel retired George Were, who was flying the helicopter, Mr. Nicholas Kiplangat Kosgei, a personal aide and photographer, Mr. Amos Kipngetich Rotich, a young Kenya Forest Service officer, Mr. Robert Kipkoech Wuketer, an aide, and Mr. Wycliffe Kiprotich Rono, who was also an aide to the member. Until his untimely demise, the late Honorable Johanna Ngeno was serving his third consecutive term in Parliament, having been first elected in 2013. Honorable members, the late Honorable Ngeno was born on 12th December 1972 in Narok County and attended Mogondo Primary School until 1987. He thereafter proceeded to Maseno National School for his secondary education, which he completed in 1991. The late Honorable Ngeno pursued his higher education at Kyiv TSN University in Ukraine from 2003 to 2006, earning a Bachelor of Arts degree in International Law. Upon his return to Kenya, he advanced his academic pursuits, earning a Master of Arts in International Studies from the University of Nairobi in 2010 and Bachelor of Laws degree from the Mount Kenya University in 2014. His academic and professional journey reached a defining milestone in September 2025 following his admission to the bar as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, fulfilling a long-held professional dream. Honorable members, prior to his entry into elective politics, the late Honorable Ngeno served as a director at the Agricultural Development Corporation, ADC, from 2008 to 2012, gaining experience in public sector management and administration. When he transitioned to elective politics and joined the 11th Parliament in 2013, the late Honorable Ngeno immediately began showcasing his leadership strengths and passion to advocate for the electorate and serve the nation. During the 11th Parliament, admission, earning a Bachelor of Arts degree in two occupants of the top continent. Moved by the Majority Leader, House 1 hour to eulogize our departed colleague from Emurua Digiri. We'll tell you the time allocated to whoever is given the privilege to speak. So members on their feet there, take your seats, the nearest seats. Honorable members, allow me to make the following communication in relation to the demise of the member for Emurua Digiri constituency, the late Honorable Johanna Ngeno Kipyegon, CBS MP. Honorable members, you may recall that on Saturday, 28th February 2026, I did notify all honorable members and the general public of the untimely and tragic demise of the Member of Parliament for Emurua Digiri constituency, the late Honorable Johanna Ngeno Kipyegon, CBS MP. The late member lost his life in a helicopter crash on the evening of Saturday, 28th February 2026 in Chepkiep area, Mosop constituency, Nandi County. He passed on alongside 5 other occupants of the ill-fated helicopter, namely Lieutenant Colonel retired George Were, who was flying the helicopter, Mr. Nicholas Kiplangat Kosgei, a personal aide and photographer, Mr. Amos Kipngetich Rotich, a young Kenya Forest Service officer, Mr. Robert Kipkoech Wuketer, an aide, and Mr. Wycliffe Kiprotich Rono, who was also an aide to the member. Until his untimely demise, the late Honorable Johanna Ngeno was serving his third consecutive term in Parliament, having been first elected in 2013. Honorable members, the late Honorable Ngeno was born on 12th December 1972 in Narok County and attended Mogondo Primary School until 1987. He thereafter proceeded to Maseno National School for his secondary education, which he completed in 1991. The late Honorable Ngeno pursued his higher education at Kyiv TSN University in Ukraine from 2003 to 2006, earning a Bachelor of Arts degree in International Law. Upon his return to Kenya, he advanced his academic pursuits, earning a Master of Arts in International Studies from the University of Nairobi in 2010 and Bachelor of Laws degree from the Mount Kenya University in 2014. His academic and professional journey reached a defining milestone in September 2025 following his admission to the bar as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, fulfilling a long-held professional dream. Honorable members, prior to his entry into elective politics, the late Honorable Ngeno served as a director at the Agricultural Development Corporation, ADC, from 2008 to 2012, gaining experience in public sector management and administration. When he transitioned to elective politics and joined the 11th Parliament in 2013, the late Honorable Ngeno immediately began showcasing his leadership strengths and passion to advocate for the electorate and serve the nation. During the 11th Parliament, between 2013 and 2017, he dedicatedly served as a member of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs and the Public Investments Committee. In the 12th Parliament from 2017 to 22, the late Honorable Ngeno served in the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, the National Government Constituency Development Fund NGCDF Committee, and the Committee of Powers and Privileges. Honorable members, those of you who knew the late Honorable Ngeno will agree with me that as a legislator, he believed and invested in continuous leadership growth, as evidenced by his steady rise to leadership influence in the House. Indeed, until his demise, he had risen to the position of chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works, a role he discharged with distinction. He was also a dedicated member of the Liaison Committee. As the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works, he was instrumental in the processing of legislation on affordable housing, which was a significant contribution to the actualization of housing and settlement pillar under the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Honorable members, as testament to his legislative proactiveness, the Honorable Member had sponsored the Quantity Surveyors Bill 2026, which was published on 20th February 2026. This bill seeks to establish the Institute of Quantity Surveyors to regulate the practice of quantity surveying in the country. The introduction of this bill underscores his commitment to the strengthening of professionalism and standards within the sector. Regrettably, the bill was yet to be introduced in the House. It is my hope that the Procedure and House Rules Committee will explore procedural avenues for legislative business continuity in the event of premature exit of the sponsors. Honorable members, since joining Parliament in 2013, the late Honorable Ngeno has maintained a close connection with the people of Emurua Digiri, serving them with passion. He was a strong advocate for education, facilitating the provision of school buses to several institutions and ensuring the timely disbursement of NGCDF bursaries to needy students within his constituency. Honorable Ngeno was also deeply engaged in community welfare, selflessly supporting vulnerable families facing hardship, and playing a key role in mediating inter-community conflicts in his cosmopolitan constituency. Honorable members, in recognition of his astute leadership, contribution to nation building and marshalling the legislative business of the House, the late Honorable Ngeno was conferred the Chief of the Order of the Burning Spear, CBS, by the President in 2023. Honorable members, the late Honorable Ngeno truly appreciated African culture and passionately promoted the cultural activities, local talents, and the welfare of local artists. He was the founder and patron of the Kalenjin Music Festival, an annual event that will enter its 4th edition this year. For the record, the tragic helicopter crash ended his life when he was returning home from Endebess, where he had graced the 35th anniversary of local artist Kim Kim's music. In his demise, the institution of Parliament, and indeed the whole nation, has lost a devoted legislator, servant of the people, a problem solver, a mentor, an advocate for justice, and above all, a paragon of courage. On behalf of the House, the Parliamentary Service Commission, and on my own behalf, I convey our heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of the late Ngeno, and the 5 individuals who also lost their lives alongside him. Honorable members, in order to accord a befitting send-off to our departed colleague and the 5 other victims, I have constituted an ad hoc committee of Parliament to plan the funeral and coordinate the arrangements. The committee comprises the following members: Honorable Julius Meli, CBS MP, Chairperson and Team Leader; Honorable Mugambi Rindikiri, CBS MP, Vice Chairperson; Honorable Julius Sunguli, GHMP; Honorable Oscar Sud MP; Honorable Brighton Yegon, CBS MP; Honorable Engineer Mark Nyamita MP; Honorable Gadhoni Wamshomba, HSC MP; Honorable Kitilai Olenduto MP; Honorable Rebecca Tonkei MP; Honorable Kakai Bisau MP; Honorable Joseph Cherorot MP; Honorable Victor Koech MP, and in consultation with the Speaker of the Senate, we have the following 3 senators in the committee: the Honorable Senator Wafula Wakoli, CBS MP; Senator Hilary Sigei, CBS MP; and Senator Eddie Okech MP. Honorable members, to celebrate the life and legacy of the late Honorable Ngeno, a requiem service will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, 4th March 2026, at the African Gospel Church, AGC Karen, starting at, I thought it was 9 a.m. Has it been changed? Starting 9 a.m., not 11 as is written here. In fact, members, I encourage you, if you pass the motion that is coming, not to sit tomorrow. Those of us who want to be in that requiem mass, be seated at this church by 8:30, so that we are able to start the program by 9 to finish in time to come back for the afternoon sitting. Thereafter, after the service, bodies of the late Ngeno and the 5 other victims will be transported to Narok on Thursday, 5th March 2026 for a service at Emurua Dikiri Primary School, Narok County. This will be followed by the funeral service and interment at his rural home in Emurua Dikiri on Friday, 6th March 2026. Consequently, honorable members, this afternoon the House Business Committee has resolved to suspend business for the morning sitting of Wednesday, 4th March 2026 to allow members to attend the requiem service. You will indeed be aware by now that a supplementary order paper has been published to facilitate a motion to suspend the sitting for tomorrow morning. Finally, honorable members, permit me to record the thanks of the House to the County Government of Narok, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Government, and to all those who went above and beyond the call of duty to facilitate airlifting of the bodies of the deceased from Nandi to Nairobi. I also thank honorable members who have visited and continue to condole and fellowship with the family and friends of the late Honorable Ngeno. Honorable members, this morning I visited the home with a team of about 25 members to condole with the family, and it does happen that the father-in-law of the Honorable Ngeno is one of our former colleagues, the Honorable Stephen Olendutu, who served with me in this House and in the first Senate after the 2010 Constitution, and is also a brother to one of our colleagues, Sekilai Olendutu. Honorable members, in honor of our departed colleague, the Honorable Jonathan Ngeno Kipyegon, CBS MP, and those who perished alongside him, I request that we all be upstanding and observe a moment of silence. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Amen. I thank you. Go back to order number 8.
Order number 8, procedural motion. Resolution not to hold a Wednesday morning sitting.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 30, and in honor of the late member for Emurua Dikir constituency, the Honorable Johanna Ngeno, CBS MP, and the other 5 distinguished Kenyans who lost their lives alongside him through a tragic helicopter accident on Saturday, 28 February 2026, this House resolves that 1, not to hold a morning sitting on Wednesday, 4th March 2026, so as to accord the House the opportunity to attend the Requiem service for the departed distinguished Kenyans, and 2, to resume sittings on the afternoon of Wednesday, 4th March 2026. Honorable Speaker, this is just a procedural motion I've just communicated in your communication to allow members to attend the Requiem service tomorrow at AGC Karen, as you have communicated, Honorable Speaker, in your communication, beginning 9, or rather we are all expected to be seated at the service in church at 8:30 so that the service can begin at 9. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, it will not be possible for us to be able to split ourselves, some to be at the service and others to be sitting here. And the House Business Committee resolved that we have this procedural motion not to have a sitting in the morning and to resume at 2:30 after the Requiem service, so that we may have time to pray with the family and also to eulogize our departed colleague and the other 5 passengers of that ill-fated chopper. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. And as I move, Honorable Speaker, just in the interest of time, because I am almost certain you will allow the House some time to send our condolences. Allow me to use this opportunity to convey my very deep condolences to the family of Johanna Ngeno, the wife, the children, and his entire family in Emurua Dikir, and also the family, as you indicated.
Are you signing away your right to speak after this motion?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I thought I could do that now.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying, as you have also indicated, our colleague Ntutu, Kitilai, and the entire Ntutu family, who are in-laws to Honorable Ngeno, to convey on my own behalf, on behalf of my family and the people of Kikuyu, and indeed the entire House, Honorable Speaker, our very deep condolences to Honorable Ngeno's family and the families of the other departed passengers who are with him, including Captain Were. Honorable Speaker, Captain Were is someone I knew very well, and I've flown with him. And Honorable Speaker, even yourself, you remember only a week ago, the other weekend, I was somewhere with you. And you flew back, you flew from where we were to Western Kenya with Captain Were. And Captain Were was a very experienced captain, someone who served in armed forces, left the armed forces and get into civilian aviation, and has done very well in his career, and was a very careful and dedicated officer in his service as a captain. Honorable Speaker, one of the other gentlemen, the teacher Carlos, who is fondly referred to as Mwalimu Carlos, his name is Keter. I knew Mwalimu Carlos in 2016-2017. Honorable Speaker, I was together with the Senate Leader of Majority in the 2017 campaigns. We were designated by the then president to go and campaign in Narok County. And I spent a lot of time in Emurua Dikir. And Carlos is a gentleman because he was a campaign manager for the man who was running against Johanna Ngeno, who was organizing all our rallies in Emurua Dikir, wherever we went there. And we put up a spirited campaign, but Johana Ngeno put a very strong defense. And even with the Jubilee wave in 2017, Johana Ngeno on a KANU ticket trounced us, and we lost that election. And I'm saying this, Honorable Speaker, because Carlos was the one who was running the campaign of the other Keter who was running against Johana in 2017. And as fate would have it, they made up. And in fact, Honorable Speaker, I dare say that Carlos was recently recruited by TSC, and the Member of Parliament for Emurua Dikir, Honorable Johana Ngeno, had a big hand in helping him to get recruited by TSC as a teacher. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I am speaking of people I know in person, the Honorable Ngeno, Captain Were, Mwalimu Carlos, Keter, fine gentlemen whom we have lost. And it's indeed very sad for all the families. And I convey my condolences to all of them, all the 6 families who have lost loved ones. Honorable Speaker, Johana Ngeno, as I said, we campaigned against him in 2017. And I remember, and I was sharing with his, at his home yesterday, when he came back to this house in 2017, after the 2017 elections, we were friends before, because we joined this house together in 2013 and we continued with our friendship. And I remember challenging him and telling him, the only reason why I campaigned against you were 2 reasons. 1, because you are still single. 2, and you have the energy to fight. 2, because you are on another party against Jubilee.
Order. The member, is it from Isiolo? Walk to the bar and do what is necessary. Even in the middle of excitement, don't violate house rules.
Honorable Speaker, you must forgive Honorable Momina. She crossed the floor in excitement. You know, she just delivered a seat to UDA in Isiolo South, together with the other members for Isiolo. So she's very excited. Honorable Speaker, I was saying, Honorable Ngeno, as I said of him, never held grudges against anybody. And I remember when we came back after the 2017 elections, we, together with a few colleagues, including my good friend here, Honorable Nelson Koech, we told Honorable Ngeno, you have completed 1 term of parliament as a bachelor. You cannot continue being a bachelor. And he told us, watch this space. And I'm glad that within the last parliament, the Honorable Ngeno found a good wife and married the love of his life. Is a widow now, Naina Ntutu. And Honorable Nelson Ngeno, Nelson Koech, whom we had challenged Ngeno with, was the best man in that wedding. It's sad, Honorable Speaker, that now the widow and the children are left without a father and a husband. And the people of Emurua Dikir have been left without a very dedicated leader. A person who would go to any length to fight for his people, defend their rights, and more importantly, to make sure that he delivers for them as a member of parliament in terms of development. And Honorable Ngeno has done exemplary well. For those who had been to Emurua Dikir when it was the larger Kilgoris, and the member for Kilgoris will bear me witness. Before that constituency was split between Kilgoris and Emurua Dikir. It was a very large constituency, and therefore previous members of parliament had a difficulty trying to develop the entire constituency as it were. But Honorable Ngeno has done exemplary well as a member of parliament in his 3 terms as parliament. And I say that because I was in Emurua Dikir late last year at the invitation of Ngeno for his bursary award program, and as he handed over a number of school buses to schools. And the people of Emurua Dikir were very proud of the performance of their member of parliament and the strong defender of their rights that he was. This House, Honorable Speaker, the people of Emurua Dikir his family, and indeed the entire country is poorer without Honorable Ngeno in our midst. And we will celebrate his life as we mourn him. And I want to pray, Honorable Speaker, that as we mourn Honorable Ngeno, Ngeno was a peacemaker. And Ngeno had never in any way entertained ethnicity. And I remember, Honorable Speaker, and you'll see even in his clips, I was watching a number of his clips, and everywhere he spoke against ethnicity. And he was a unifying leader. I pray, Honorable Speaker, that as we mourn him and as we lay him to rest towards the end of this week, we will emulate Honorable Ngeno in his standing as a leader, in his unifying character, and more importantly, Honorable Speaker, that we all remember the families, not just of Honorable Ngeno, that of Were, Carlos, and the other departed compatriots and countrymen who lost their lives on Saturday evening, Honorable Speaker. And in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, let us also mourn and celebrate their lives, bearing in mind that they have families that are hurting. And I say this, Speaker, because I know I just lost a relative a year ago, last year, some months ago. I know what it feels, and many of you know, those of you who have lost relatives. It is unfair and rather callous for any one of us who purports to be a leader to be using the death of any Kenyan for political gain. And I say this, Honorable Speaker, because I saw the pain of the family, of the widow, of Ngeno's relatives, and those of Carlos and others, having to learn of his passing on from a careless statement by a leader at a political rally in Nyahururu. Honorable Speaker, it's not just shameful, it's so callous of any leader, even before the immediate family gets to know of the loss of a loved one. You are there in a political rally announcing their death. It's shameful, Honorable Speaker. And how I wish, and I described people here, Honorable Speaker, 2 years ago, saying there was a dark man with a very black hat. I am vindicated, Honorable Speaker. I am vindicated. This is a dark man with a very black and dark heart and soul. Somebody who has no feeling, no respect for family, no respect for anybody. Somebody who scavenged on anything, including death, to try and drive or get some political capital. Shame on you. That you should use the departure of one of us to do your cheap ethnic-based politics, or even imagine that you can incite one sub-tribe against another or one community against another. Honorable Speaker, I say that because it was really hurting. Honorable Speaker, you were at Ngeno's house this morning. You saw how distraught that family is. It's sad that somebody who purports to be a leader, and I don't know of what because he leads nothing, can use such an opportunity to be seen like you are celebrating the passing on of another human being. That is what a man with a black heart does. That is what those with dark souls do. And I'll say shame on to them as we mourn our colleague and the 5 other Kenyans who lost their lives, including our friend Captain Were, who I have said, Honorable Speaker, was a very dedicated captain, very careful. And let us not speculate on the cause of the death or the accident. Let us allow the air traffic accident investigators to do their work. But also, let us also exercise caution wherever we are moving on the roads, the air, and be aware of our surroundings, including the weather patterns, especially around this rainy season. Honorable Speaker, allow me to end it there, and I beg to move. And may the souls of our departed colleague and the 5 other passengers rest in eternal peace. And may God Almighty give comfort to their families and rest their souls in eternal peace for those who have left us. I beg to move and request the Honorable Osoro to second.
Osoro.
And he may also use his time like mine.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Much less time, 3 minutes.
I will try, Honorable Speaker. I want to sign off my rights also to speak after this motion is passed, and use this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to also condole with the families of the departed souls of our great Kenyans, from our colleague, the Honorable Johana Ngeno, and the 5 that were with him. Honorable Speaker, the 6 that left us, and like we say, went to be with the Lord, at least out of the 6, 3 are known to me personally. And one, I would start, Honorable Speaker, with the young man who is a cameraman by the name Nick. In several occasions, Honorable Speaker, we've shared platforms with the Honorable Johana Ngeno, and at times when I don't tag along with my cameraman, we use Nick to take us photos across, of course, and share with us, Honorable Speaker. And on that particular day, the Honorable Johana Ngeno had actually asked my cameraman to accompany him to an event, but it happened that my cameraman was in Kisii, and he had to maneuver away to carry his. So the young man is well known to me, and it's very, very sad. I say that his soul rests in peace. Honorable Speaker, I'm also known, the late George Were is also well known to me. He's flown me on several occasions. In fact, in the very last event that we shared with the Honorable Johana Ngeno, Honorable Speaker, I flew with the Honorable Meli from my constituency, because Emurua Dikirr, Honorable Speaker, is just one constituency away from mine. It is South Mogrango, then Kilgoris, where the Honorable Sunkuli comes from, and then Emurua Dikirr, Honorable Speaker. And so we are too close. When you fly from my constituency to his place, it's just about 6 minutes flight to get to his place. Honorable Speaker, George has flown several of us, and it's quite sad that at the tail end of his career, even as he sought to retire completely, he passed on in that cruel manner. May his soul rest in peace. But finally, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Johana Ngeno. Many things will be said about Johana Ngeno, like you would hear several members say. But there is one thing, Honorable Speaker, that stands out about Johana Ngeno, his courage and his stand for social justice. Honorable Speaker, you've heard a story that the Honorable Nelson Koech was his best man in his wedding in 2018. But I would say, Honorable Speaker, that when we go to this house, and in the discussion about the leadership of this house, when we had a discussion in Naivasha about the leadership of this house, it happened that Nelson Koech was meant to sit on this seat that I'm sitting, Honorable Speaker. And there was a discussion on mamas across, within the sectors of the political spectrum, Honorable Speaker, in Naivasha. But the Honorable Johana Ngeno, Honorable Speaker, even having known that Nelson Koech was his best man, came to me and told me, I stand for social justice, and I want you to take over this seat and not Nelson Koech, Honorable Speaker. And that is why today I'm here. We would eventually become very close friends, and myself, the Honorable Owen Bayer, the Honorable Johana Ngeno formed a group together of couples that we could visit each other often, Honorable Speaker. And it's quite sad today that we mourn a great man that has been fighting for social justice across, and he's died, he's gone, Honorable Speaker, at the point of his, passion, where he stood for the young people who are, using their talent to do several things and to, for social capital. For economical value, using their talent. He's been traversing across the Rift Valley, Honorable Speaker, and even Gusii region, Honorable Speaker, supporting artists. We have lost a great man, and looking at the mood of this House, Honorable Speaker, it goes without saying that the Honorable Ngeno really invested in social capital. That is why you see several members really pained and touched by his demise. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people of South Mogrango, on behalf of my family, on behalf of this House and the entire country, I want to convey my deepest condolences and say, may the Honorable Ngeno's soul rest in eternal peace, and I beg to second, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 8, which is that, pursuant the provisions of Standing Order 30 and in honor of the late member for Emurua Digiri constituency, the Honorable Johanna Ngeno, CBS MP, and the 5 distinguished Kenyans who died alongside him through a tragic helicopter accident on Saturday, 28th February 2026, this House resolves, 1, not to hold a morning sitting on Wednesday, 4th March 2026, so as to accord the House the opportunity to attend the Requiem service for the departed distinguished Kenyans, and 2, to resume sittings on the afternoon of Wednesday, 4th March 2026. You put the question? Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that pursuant the provisions of Standing Order 30, and in honor of the late member for Emurua Digiri constituency, the Honorable Johanna Ngeno, CBS MP, and the 5 distinguished Kenyans who died alongside him through a tragic helicopter accident on Saturday, 28th February 2026, this House resolves, 1, not to hold a morning sitting on Wednesday, 4th March 2026, so as to accord the House the opportunity to attend the Requiem service for the departed distinguished Kenyans, and 2, to resume sittings on the afternoon of Wednesday, 4th March 2026. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members will then allow you to eulogize the late Ngeno and his colleagues who perished with him. The House Business Committee had indicated that we give you 2 minutes each, if no 3, because I want to assign this to 1 hour and 5 minutes ending at 4:30. Bukose, 2 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, I stand to send my condolences to the people of Emurua Digiri, having been with the Honorable Johanna Ngeno in Endebess just before the tragic accident. Honorable Speaker, it is still a very sad memory to me that the Honorable member came to my place, and I've been accompanying him in this journey of supporting talents, especially in the North Rift region, Mount Elgon, and all the way to Uganda. Whenever he comes, normally we plan on him not going back. I even get a court to slaughter, and then he can at least spend around. But this time, things took the worst of the turn as it happened. I have no words to say, Honorable Speaker, but what I would only say is that Honorable Ngeno was a great man. He supported people without discrimination. He supported very low people, especially our artists. And he gave his, and even in his life, I think he gave it to these artists as he came to support Kim, who is my constituent, where we were able to raise some money to support him. And really, still a very sad day. I'm still in shock for what happened, having been a very close person to me. May his soul rest in eternal peace until we meet again. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On my own behalf and on behalf of my family and the constituents of Kathiani, I also rise to give my condolences to the family, friends, constituents of Emurua Digiri of the late Johanna Ngeno. Mr. Speaker, Johanna Ngeno was a fine gentleman, and I was privileged to have served with him for 3 consecutive terms in this parliament. Very politician, very strong defender of the people, and many times we've seen him even confronting the police when they seemed to be harassing and hurting the people that he represents. So this country has lost a great leader, Mr. Speaker, and it is quite a sad moment. I just want to urge that as this very painful time passes, that those that are involved in making sure that they investigate these accidents do it in a quick manner so that we can allay any fears or any possibility of mischief. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the majority leader when he was moving the previous motion, when he said that we have to be very careful not to politicize such issues. But Mr. Speaker, it was also shocking to listen to the majority leader himself, because he spent a lot of time demonizing the second deputy president. He spent almost all his time calling him a black man, a man with a black hat. I mean, that also was also politicizing these situations. I think it is, you know, what is good for the goose is good for the gander, and he has to be careful that he also doesn't use the privilege of the House to malign other people's names. Otherwise, with those few remarks, may the soul of Johanna Ngeno rest in eternal peace.
If you are all disciplined like that.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to eulogize our chairman and our colleague. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the great people of Laikipia County and on behalf of my family, I stand to give my condolences to the families of the 6 departed souls. And Honorable Speaker, I would say of the 6 people, the 3 were known to me. One is Honorable Ngeno, who was my chairperson of Housing Committee, a great man who always brought us together. Honorable Speaker, it's interesting that last week after our committee meeting, for the first time in the 3 years we've been together, we decided to sit together in Honorable Kimilu's office and plan about our committee, and we shared a good laugh. Little did we know that that was going to be our last meeting together with our chairperson. Honorable Speaker, the week before, Captain Were came to Laikipia, and he had a chat with my son, where my son told him he wants to become a pilot, and he told him he has to always finish his homework. Honorable Speaker, it is with a lot of grief that we mourn our chairperson, Honorable Ngeno, and we say may his soul rest in eternal peace, and may the souls of the other 5 departed Kenyans also rest in peace. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Sunguli.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of myself and the people of Kilgoris constituency, I wish to eulogize Johanna Ngeno, the MP for Emurua-Dikir, who has just left us. Johanna was my constituent for a long time when I was a member of parliament. That constituency that is called Emurua-Dikir was part of Kilgoris. And we have lived together in politics. He was at some point my competitor. At some other point, we were together. But one thing I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, is that he was a man of courage and was a man who stood by his word. Johanna has left a big mark in his constituency, because the identity of Emurua-Dikir is actually the identity of Johanna Ngeno. He is the one who was one of the first. He was actually the first member of parliament for that area. And he has put his foot and imprint in that constituency. I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that this week we are going to bury a great friend of mine. We were competitors often, but we always competed in dignity. We always competed well and retained our friendship. Of late, we had even more common grounds because he defended the things I defended and was angry when I was angry. On Friday, we are going to bury him, and I want to urge members of parliament to come in big numbers. The place is quite accessible, and you could all come to Kilgoris and then go to Emurua-Dikir. But may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Hillary. Hillary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me join the House on behalf of the people of Kipkelion West constituency to send my condolences on the fall of this great man, Mr. Speaker. I first knew Johanna Ngeno way before 2007, when as young men we were mentored together into politics under the mentorship of the late Kipkalia Kones. And I know, Mr. Speaker, there is a dark cloud of sorrow and mourning among the Kipsigis community, Mr. Speaker, because this is not the only plane crash that has taken their sons. The Honorable Kipkalia Kones and the Honorable Lona Laboso also lost their lives in a plane crash, Mr. Speaker. And we want to urge the people of Emurua Dikir to be patient, to be calm, and to mourn their departed leader in peace, Mr. Speaker. Johana Ngeno, Mr. Speaker, cannot be described in 2 minutes. He was a passionate believer and a defender of the people of Emurua Dikir, the people of the Kipsigis community, the Kalenjin nation, and the people of Kenya at large, Mr. Speaker. His passing on leaves a very big void in our leadership. And I want to urge our community to be calm and to assure them that we shall rise again out of the ashes of the death of the Honorable Johana Ngeno. And finally, Mr. Speaker, is to ask and request the government to implement all the projects that were under the vision of the Honorable Johana Ngeno in this term with speed, so that the people of Emurua Dikir, Mr. Speaker, can enjoy development that their MP intended them to have during this term, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Thank you. Commissioner Makau.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On my behalf, my family, the people of Mavoko, I also stand to pass my condolences to the late Honorable Johana Ngeno. Johana Ngeno was a gentleman. He's a man who has invited me to his many functions. The last one was the cultural, which I really liked, and I saw how he was connecting to people. That is a man who was loved. In fact, everybody was shouting, Kingpin, Kingpin, Kingpin. That shows he was crossing across the borders. No wonder even he faced his death when he was at Entebbe, which is not even his constituency, showing that he was a leader all over Kenya. Mr. Speaker, today as we mourn the 5 other passengers who died along him, Mr. Speaker, I think it's upon this House we look under Civil Aviation Act number 21 of 2013. Mr. Speaker, all of us are consumers of chopper services. And we have seen most of these pilots they are not even controlled when they are happier. It is the pilot who decides how the weather is. I think we need to relook in that regulation, and we put serious regulations on how pilots of choppers are supposed to be regulated. Because as it is not good. I know this was an accident, but as a House charged with making laws, we need to relook and amend that Civil Aviation Act number 21 of 2013 so that we have those pilots controlled, so that in such cases of this bad weather, Mr. Speaker, they can be controlled. Finally, Johana Ngeno was the only man from KKK who favored me with many projects, unlike his best man. Thank you.
Murugara.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me also to join the House in mourning and condoling with the family of the late Johana Ngeno. The great people of Emurua Dikir and the Kipsigis community in its entirety. We will remember Johana as one of the most astute legislators we had here, and especially the positions he took. When he said no, it was no, and when he said yes, it was yes. His contributions right to the Housing Committee and also to Liaison Committee were totally invaluable, and we will miss this as a House. May I extend these condolences and pole from the great people of the Raka constituency, where he was actually a great friend of the people. While they are listening to me, it's good to remind them that on the 25th of July 2025, Johana Ngeno came to the Raka constituency. And that was not a mean feat, because not many people actually visit that constituency. And I commend you, sir. The Speaker has visited not once, not twice, more than thrice. Johana Ngeno came with a team led by the Leader of Majority and the Chief Whip. We were doing an empowerment for border borders, our young people who are riders. And he actually did many jigs with the local community, as a result of which we were able to raise 8 billion shillings for that group. Sincerely, this is a true friend of Kenya, a true friend of Tharaka, and therefore, the only thing we can say this afternoon is, may his soul rest in everlasting peace. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me join colleagues in mourning our late brother, and on my own behalf and the behalf of my family and the good people of Kitui Central, send my deepest condolences to the family. Honorable Speaker, we joined this house together with the same day with Honorable Ngeno. And if I were asked to go for somebody who champions the interest of his people, I will go for Honorable Ngeno. If I was asked to go for somebody who, over time, has been very principled and who always stand by his principles, I would go for Honorable Ngeno. May God's grace be sufficient for his family and the people of Emurua Dikir. Let our colleague rest in eternal peace. Amen.
Chairman of the committee, Meli.
Thank you.
If you can take time like Makali Mulu,
yes.
You don't exhaust your 2 minutes, we'll have many more people to speak.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to mourn and condole Honorable Ngeno and the departed members who are in the ill-fated craft. Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank you that you honored and considered me to chair this committee with other 10 members, because Honorable Ngeno was more than a brother to me, a friend, a leader. We joined this house together in 2013. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say that Ngeno was a great inspiration to many of us when we came to the house. He would tell us how he went through the elections of 2007, how he was competing in the then larger Kilgoris constituency before he came to Emurua Dikir. Honorable Ngeno was a man of the people. He actually took it upon himself to change the lives of the people of Emurua Dikir. In fact, he built many, many schools. When he inherited the constituency, when the constituency was carved out, it had very few schools. It had no roads. It had very few hospitals. Ngeno went out of his way, Honorable Speaker, to change the lives of his community and establish a lot of infrastructure networks, improved education. He touched lives. And more importantly, within this house, he actually mentored a number of members and even gave an inspiration to many to serve in the house. I want to say, pole to the family, pole to the nation, and to all of us. Asante sana.
Wamshomba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join my colleagues in eulogizing my colleague, the Honorable Johanna Ngeno. I had the privilege of serving with him in the previous parliament. And Mr. Speaker, my encounter with him for the first time, I was not able to pronounce the name of his constituency because, Mr. Speaker, I come from a region where an R and an L is a challenge. So I was not able to pronounce his name properly, the name of the constituency. And Mr. Speaker, he used to make fun out of it. And he used to tell me to take a pen and a paper, and then he would ask me to pronounce the name slowly by slowly. And the same patience and accommodation he had about my shortcoming is the same one he has had in his constituency as he embraced the talents, the musicians, the talented young people, and promoted them to the extent that he did. So I mourn a member of parliament who was passionate, who believed in the justice of the people, a man who was brave, and a man who loved his family. Rest in peace, my brother.
Bissau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also join the colleagues in mourning Honorable Ngeno. Honorable Ngeno was my chairman, and last Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, sir, as a committee, we had a very good moment with Honorable Ngeno. It was one of the most exciting moments. But as fate will always come, actually we never knew that we were seeing Honorable Ngeno for the last time, or that was our last Tuesday. We had a very good moment with all of us as a committee. I remember moving together and with Honorable Indikiri and the rest. It was a very trying moment, Mr. Speaker, sir. On the 26th, which is last Thursday, we met with Honorable Ngeno and he was adjusting his tie. And I told him, my chairman, let me be your mirror. And he adjusted the tie and he reminded me of joining him in Endebess. But since that particular Saturday, we had other engagements with members from Trans Nzoia, I was not able to. But the surprising thing, that particular Saturday, when leaving the function, going to another funeral, the same chopper, the ill-fated chopper, you could see it overfly where I was. I will miss my chairman with the many opportunities we had across the country and even abroad. I remember even a visit to Singapore where we went together. A courageous man, humanitarian, and very, very committed in uplifting others. Rest in peace, Chairman, until we meet again.
Kangogo Bowen.
Mr. Speaker, let me join my colleagues to mourn the Honorable Ngeno, and on behalf of the people of Marakwet East, Honorable Speaker, which the Honorable Ngeno came when we had a landslide tragedy almost 3 months ago, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as a country and as a house, we have lost a great man. And as a Kalenjin nation, we have lost an hero and the finest leader, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Ngeno, we joined together in 2013, together with the Honorable Ichungwa and Pokose and many of us here. And since then, Mr. Speaker, we have been close with the Honorable Ngeno. Honorable Ngeno is a true leader, Honorable Speaker, who fought for his people. The constituency of Emurua Digir is synonymous to Honorable Ngeno, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the only thing we can say at this moment is to pray for the family of the young family of our friend, our colleague, the Honorable Ngeno, Mr. Speaker, and also, Mr. Speaker, to ask the government at this moment, because Honorable Ngeno has been fighting for the people of Emurua Digir, the land issues there, Honorable Speaker, that they handle it very, very carefully so that his people can benefit even at a time when he's not there. Mr. Speaker, as a house and even as a leadership of the Liaison, Honorable Speaker, we worked closely with the Honorable Ngeno, and he was really a debater, Mr. Speaker. At this point, Mr. Speaker, we just want to wish the family well, and may his soul rest in peace.
Pasares.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to stand with my colleagues in mourning the passing of our chair for the Housing Committee, Johanna Ngeno. I stand here and I remember his wife, Nalia, and the 3 children that he leaves behind, 2 very young daughters. She's a young wife and now widowed. What can I say about Johanna Ngeno? He was a man with a short temper, but the next day, you wouldn't even think you had a quarrel the day before. He was a man that brought the committee together, and I pray and hope that since he was the first chair for the Housing Committee, and housing being such a big agenda for the government, that we would have a few estates in this country that will be named Johanna Ngeno Estates, because he really pushed every button to make sure that us as a committee would work tirelessly to ensure that we put the necessary laws in place. We had the public participation. We oversight the projects. We went across the entire country with him, looking at projects and demanding the highest quality and the highest deliverables. So for me, I stand here and I say on behalf of myself, my family, and the great people of Nairobi, we mourn a great leader, and we stand with the family in prayer, and we will be there to support the family, because that's what good people do for each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On my behalf, my family, and the people, the great people of Belgut that I represent, let me also take this opportunity
to eulogize my friend Johana Ngeno. Like has been said, myself and Honorable Sudi were his best man as he solemnized his marriage with his widowed wife now. And Johana Ngeno is a man of many fronts. Johana Ngeno was a fierce defender of the Kipsigis people in Narok, fierce defender of the people, the Kipsigis people living in Mau, fierce defender, bold defender of the people who lived in Muruadigir and Angata Baragoi. And in the injustices of land was his driving and burning motto to make sure that the people of the Kalenjin community, wherever they were, justice was delivered to them. Honorable Ngeno will be missed dearly by the artists of this nation, particularly those ones that come from our backyard, the Kalenjin artists, where every year he has had a function for them, and I'm sure they will definitely miss him. Many people will miss Johana Ngeno. They will miss his infectious laughter. They will miss his boldness. They will miss his confrontational politics. Like Honorable Hillary did say, that he took over from my late father-in-law, Honorable Kipkaila Kones. Let me just say, in short, fare thee well, my friend, till the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more.
Dr. Mwiti. Give him the
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me join my colleagues in heroizing Honorable Ngeno. I've known Ngeno for quite some time. For the last 3 years, I've been in this house, mainly because we have been sharing the same floor. The late Ngeno was in room 2213, and I've been 2218. We have been sharing the lift quite often, and we could visit one another. I recognize Ngeno for the fearless and commitment he had for his people. In most cases, we have seen him fighting or negotiating for the land of his people. We shall miss Ngeno. God bless Honorable Ngeno on internal peace. Thank you.
CNN. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me join the voices of my condolences, of my colleagues for actually condoling with our friends who we have lost as the House. Mr. Ngeno, as you recall, and even you have heard, he was a friend to many people. He has visited my constituency, and nobody actually was aware. And this is a guy, or rather a good member of parliament, who used to fight for the rights of his people. I recall last week when I was with him in the gym, actually, he used to be very keen in terms of issues of health matters. We were just laughing and arranging how we are going to have an elections in 2027, how we are going to collaborate so that we can see majority of us coming back to parliament. And Mr. Speaker, Ngeno was a friend to many. He was a humble man. He used to love everybody, and we will dearly miss him. On behalf of the people of Mwingi West and on behalf of the people of Kitui County, let me join my colleagues and just send the message of condolences to his family. And more important, to the young wife and the children who have been left feeling lonely. But we will pray to God that he is going to comfort them and give them fortitude to bear this loss. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rest in eternal peace.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to join the rest of the House in paying my condolences to the families and the friends of the 6 Kenyans who lost their life in the tragic helicopter crash. And Honorable Speaker, of the 6 Kenyans who lost their life, 5 of them were known to me, including the Carlos Mwelimu, who was a personal friend to me. And Honorable Speaker, and even the way much has been said about him, very seasoned pilot, and we had lost a great man. Honorable Speaker, on the part of Ngeno, Honorable Ngeno is a man that is been said, and I think majority have said about that, is known to be a courageous man. A man who actually is a go-getter. Honorable Ngeno will stop at nothing to get what he wants. And besides that attributes, Honorable Speaker, is a man who also believes in social justice, he believes in fairness, he believes in equity. Honorable Speaker, the motto of this House, which is for the welfare of the society and the just government of the people, is really, I think, means much to Honorable Ngeno. And I think that has been evidence to what he has been doing, not just in Narok County, but across the country. Honorable Speaker, Mheshimiwa Ngeno, despite coming from Narok, which is my neighboring constituency, we share a lot. And as I've been actually known, he used to sit next to me. We actually used to be deskmate. That's why even I had to call his deputy, his vice chair, at least to warm the seat. And despite that, we have a lot of political differences in Narok, Honorable Speaker. You cannot tell that. We used to be best of friends. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that we have lost a great leader. We have lost the defender of the people. We have lost actually.
Time up, Jen Kiara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to eulogize my friend, our colleague, who we shared a lot, though we never saw us together mostly. But I also want to sympathize with the young widow and her children, because the journey is long. I pray that God will give her the grace and comfort and strength to bear this huge loss. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Ngeno was known to fight for his people. The clips that have been going around, you could see he would go bare hand to chase policemen who went to kill his people. This is what we have known him for. Mr. Speaker, I agree we should not politicize. But, Mr. Speaker, I wonder, the majority leader or the former deputy president, who has done politics? Because he just said what he knows him and what he was to him. So Coley telling us time and again that he's a black man with a black heart, he's actually politicizing. And Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. Can the majority leader just let him be? I think it's not necessary. We are mourning a great man. We are mourning somebody who has really lost, who has left a young family, like he said. He got married at an advanced age. So may God rest his soul in eternal peace.
Bashir. Major Bashir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on my own behalf and on behalf of the people of Mandera North, I want to join my colleagues in condoling with the family, relatives and friends of our late colleague, Honorable Ngeno. Honorable Ngeno, as I've said, he was a great gentleman, a man who was very, very courageous, fighting for the rights of his people. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Ngeno was also a member of the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group, and we worked with him very closely in that caucus. And I want to express my deep condolences to the family. And I wish them all the best as they overcome this emotional grief. And I say, poleni sana na mutulia kabisa. Asanteni sana.
Mandazi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me pass my own condolences on my own behalf and on behalf of the people of Chepalungu constituency for the demise of Honorable Ngong, commonly known by his people as Chebambumbu, Honorable Speaker. By his close allies, he is known as Chumindet. His people have lost him. Speaker, Chepalungu constituency and Emurua Dikir constituencies are neighbors. We have cross-cutting issues, cross-cutting challenges. Honorable Speaker, when I was elected to this House, Honorable Ngong has continuously held my hand. I've lost him as a friend, I've lost him as a colleague. He loved the local artist. He loved his people. He loved his family, the young family that is left. We pray to God that He keeps them well. Honorable Speaker, Ngong can be described by so many words. He was a very brave person. He was so courageous. He stood by his words. His no was a no. His yes was a firm yes. At the time when the people of Angata Baragoi wanted someone to lean on, Honorable Ngeno was always there for them. I was there yesterday, and the people spoke bitterly of the loss of their leader. They told us as leadership that we have lost a person who was our title deed, and we call upon the Ministry of Lands that the issues that were raised by Honorable Ngeno should be handled so that the people of Emurua Dikir.
Time up, Kimani Molo.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa muda huu. Kwa niaba yangu na kwa niaba ya wananchi wetu wa eneo bunge la Molo, hasa wananchi wetu wa eneo la Kapsinendet, eneo la Mariashoni, eneo la Saptet, eneo la Sachangwan, wananchi ambao walimwenzi sana Mheshimiwa Ngong, ya kwamba tunaleta pole zetu kwa familia yake, kwa mke wake, kwa watoto wake na kwa jamii yote ya eneo bunge la Emuru Dikir. Mheshimiwa Spika, nakumbuka tuliweza kufanya kazi vizuri sana na Mheshimiwa Ngeno wakati tulikuwa tunaunga sheria ile ya housing, ya kazi wa nyumba, Mheshimiwa Spika, na tuliweza kufanya kazi nzuri sana. Wakati mwingi tuliweza kukosana na wale wa executive kwa sababu maneno mengi, kuna mambo ambayo tuliona huwa hayafai, Mheshimiwa Spika, na tuliweza kuhakikisha kwamba tuliweza kuwasilisha katika bunge hii ripoti ambayo imeweza kuwezesha ile mipango ya ujengaji wa nyumba za bei nafuu katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Ningetaka pia kuleta pole zangu kwa familia ya Rubani Were. Rubani Were pia mimi ashawahi kunibeba kama mwezi mmoja uliopita, na pia pole kwa wandani wake wengine ambao waliweza kufariki katika hiyo ajali ya ndege. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sisi wote viongozi ni kumbusho kwetu ya kwamba sisi wote tuko katika safari, hatujui muda wala wakati. Ile jambo la maana ni kukumbuka, kujiuliza, je, tutakumbukwa kwa yepi? Ya kwamba ikiwa wale ambao watakuja kuongea baada ya sisi wataweza kuongea mazuri kama vile tunaweza kuongea mazuri ya huyu mwenyekiti wa housing Mheshimiwa Ngong. May his soul rest in peace. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Maungu.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on my own behalf, that of my family and the great people of Rwanda constituency, allow me to join my colleagues in saying a great pole following the demise of our colleague, Honorable Ngeno, and the friends who traveled with him, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the late Ngeno was such a great leader. One of the things I always admired about the late Ngeno was his boldness, and he was a very, very brave man. Many of the times he came out to speak for his people and always demonstrate a degree of boldness and being brave, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, the people of Emurua Dikir, Mr. Speaker, have lost a leader who actually championed for their rights. The late Ngeno was also known to be a leader who actually cultivated or encouraged the talent that came along with young people, Mr. Speaker. Many of the times I saw him host teams or support teams, especially the natives, the Kalenjin upcoming museum, Mr. Speaker. I saw him actually bring them together and support them in their venture, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, as we mourn this great leader, who was a leader who was warm and a man of great heart, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my interaction with him, at one time, I remember he was too tough on the police who actually were kind of harassing his people.
And from then, I kept calling him the arresting officer, Mr. Speaker. And we had such a great interaction with him, and I therefore say that may Johana Ngeno rest in eternal peace. Asante sana.
Rendekere.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand here to mourn my boss, my chairman, and my very close friend of mine, the late Honorable Ngeno. Mr. Speaker, we were joined by being my boss as his assistants. And I've worked with a man who had difficulty at the beginning, but I came to realize that is one of the great leaders we have in this parliament. Mr. Speaker, Ngeno was not a motivator, but also somebody to emulate in terms of leadership and championing the cause of success. Mr. Speaker, this is a man who does not give up. Consistently, whenever we had challenges in the committee, we saw a man behaving like a leader, a father, and a mentor. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that we do not have terms of reference for our committee because fair housing was a new concept. But through his wise leadership, through consultation and humility, we were able to develop our terms of reference that has made it become very successful as a committee. Mr. Speaker, this man is a father. I have seen this man in his house. I've seen this man as a community leader. I've seen this man as a churchman. Many people do not know that. We have lost a great man. We have lost other very strong people, particularly Captain Wele, who is known almost by everybody in this country. I eulogize them and say, may Almighty God stand with the young.
Mwalimu Kombe.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi hii ili niweze nami kutoa rambirambi zangu na za jamii yangu na jamii pana ya Magarini. Mheshimiwa Ngeno, binafsi nitamkumbuka kwa ushujaa wake wa kupigania haki za wananchi wake, hasa kwa upande wa mashamba. Alikuwa ni mtu wa kusimama kidete kuhakikisha kwamba watu wake hawadhulumiwi kirahisi. Alikuwa na ushujaa wa kuweza hata kuvurutana na polisi na hatimaye kuhakikisha kwamba watu wake hawahangaishwi. Hakika katika bunge hili tutamkosa kiongozi shujaa na kiongozi mpenda watu, kiongozi mpenda maendeleo. Niombe tu Mwenyezi Mungu mwingi wa rehema, yule aliyeweza kunishika mkono nilipoachwa na baba nikiwa mdogo, akaweze kuwashika mkono wale watoto wadogo walioachwa, na akampe nguvu na hekima mjane ili akaweze kuwainua vijana kwa njia njema. Roho yake Mwenyezi Mungu ailaze mahali pema peponi palipo na wema, na akaijalie kaburi yake kuwa bustani katika mabustani peponi. Asante
Richard Yegon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity also, which I've gotten to eulogize our departed colleague. On that of my behalf, my family and the larger people of Bomet East, I would like to pass my sincere condolences to the family of the late Johana Ngeno, who really has become a very inspirational to some of us who are the new members in this house. Mr. Speaker, what I want to touch on, which has not been touched by the members of this house, is that we would like to request for to put some serious legislation in regards to flying these aircrafts, which have really taken the lives of so many people, including the late Saitoti, the late Kipkalia Kones, Lona Laposo, and now our colleague, Johanna Ngeno. We need to know and maybe to make serious laws touching on the civil aviation to make sure that the members, the pilots who are piloting these aircrafts should stick to the laws which allows them not to fly in extreme weather situations like the one which was witnessed during last weekend when our colleague was being flown on a chopper. The weather was so bad, and I think the pilot, I'm not going to preempt this because I think we are going to leave to investigative arms to look into it, that we need to have them make decisive decision and avoid flying the aircraft in very bad weather. So, Mr. Speaker, let me sincerely pass my deepest condolence to the family of the members of Emurua Digil, including
Lisa Chelule.
Thank you. Asante sana.
Lisa Chelule.
Hey, yangu memuka.
I believe you are not Lisa Chelule.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi huu.
Nitakupa nafasi lakini wewe si Lisa Chelule.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipatia hii nafasi. Pia mimi niseme rizala zangu za kwangu na za kaunti ya Nakuru kwa wakati huu ambaye tunaomboleza ndugu yetu Mheshimiwa Honorable Johanna Ngeno. Bwana Spika, pia nakupatia pole sababu umepoteza mmoja yetu na wajumbe wote. Nataka tu kusema maneno machache kuhusu huyu kiongozi. Huyu kiongozi ni kiongozi mmoja ambaye ameleta watu wote katika nchi yetu pamoja. Ninaposema hivi Bwana Spika, unakumbuka akienda kutembea katika makaunti zote, alikuwa amefika kiwango ya kupita nusu ya idadi ya counties yetu katika nchi yetu, akitembea kusaidia vijana ambaye wanajihusisha na mambo ya uimbaji. Nataka kuchukua hii nafasi kusema hakuna kiongozi ambaye ameajibika katika kazi yake, ameajibika katika constituency yake ya Emurua Digir. Huyu kiongozi hakuna mwingine ninaweza kumfananisha na kitu ya maana ambaye alisema akienda, ambaye alisema hivi juzi karibu, akasema sisi kama wananchi wa Kenya tutekeleze kazi yetu kikamilifu, tutekeleze kazi yetu kiwango ambaye wananchi wa Kenya watafurahia, na akasema tuweke amani katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo nachukua hii nafasi kusema kwa wananchi wa Emurua Digir kwamba wakae chonjo, wapokee wageni wa Johanna Ngeno wakati wa Ijumaa, wakati itakapofanyika mambo ya mazishi yake. Mungu aweke roho yake.
Moroto, now you can legitimately speak.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi. Mheshimiwa Ngeno ambaye tunaongea juu yake ni mtu ambaye amesaidia vijana wengi sana, especially West Pokot, Mount Elgon mpaka Uganda. Hakuwa na mpaka kwa sababu ya vijana. Na hata vile tulivyo hapa saizi Makutano town, vijana wamesanyika kutoka Uganda, kutoka Trans Nzoia kuweka ile kuchoma ile majumaa kwa sababu ya heshima yake, na watakuja wote pande hii. Ni sisi kama viongozi tuone kwamba kazi ambayo Ngeno alifanya tuendelee kushikilia. Hata alipozunguka huko kuna shule ambayo ni ya wasichana secondary school, alisema isaidiwe na alikuwa na process hiyo shule ijengwe. Kwa hivyo nafikiri kwa sababu kuna komiti hao hapa na Faisia, wewe sasa shikilia hiyo mpaka hiyo shule ya West Pokot ifanyike. Hata wewe umesema kwamba Mungu na mlaze malipema peponi. Asante.
Koyo Onyango Koyo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for remembering me at last. Honorable Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in sending my condolences, those of myself, my family, and the people of Moroni that I represent in this House, during this very sad, and Nyando, because Nyando was part of Moroni, and during this very difficult time for the people of Muradikir, we joined the parliament, the 13th parliament, with the late Honorable Ngeno, together with the majority leader and a few people here. And Johanna Ngeno and I shared one thing. We are people who believe in people first, then party leadership and other bureaucrats can come later. As a result, we became very close. We became very close and we are consulting each other. Our difficulty is pronouncing the name of his constituency. So each time I saw him, I called him Dick. And he ably responded and said, I know how is Moroni, how is Muradikir. The people of Muradikir, we lose a very serious leader that, according to my experience, this was in Kalenjin land, a serious leader after Kipkalia Kones and the late Jean Marie Soronei. He valued his people and did everything to protect the dignity and prosperity of his people. And as a friend, I was courting him to come and talk to those young musicians with talents in Moroni, and he was planning to come and talk to them, and really miss this facility. May God rest his soul in eternal peace.
Justice Kamei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the
Honorable,
opportunity.
before you proceed, we have 15 minutes to go. Can I cut it to 1 minute so that everybody speaks? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
You are a
given
leader, I'll
me.
give you two, but Justice Kamei and the rest take 1 minute each so that everybody can have an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity you've given me to join my colleagues in mourning the passing on of the late Johanna Ngeno. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief. Johanna Ngeno, we joined Parliament together in 2013. He remained close to me, and I remember him for visiting the constituency to do a project at Kipsamoi. In his community, if people delay in getting married, they are taken to a place called Kipsamoi. So when I took him to Kipsamoi Secondary School, it came to pass that he got married about 1 year later. Mr. Speaker, he also joined me and my family in the funeral of my father, and they made a very generous contribution. I'll always thank him for that, and may God bless him and bless his family, and may his soul find favor with the Lord. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Taitumu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity so that I can tender my own condolences and the condolences of the people of Wigembe North to the people of Wemuru and Dikiri, and particularly the entire Ngenos. Honorable Ngeno was a true servant of humanity. He was a role model, an icon, and a person who believed in what he stood for. Honorable Ngeno was a true crusader, particularly for the downtrodden. He served people within dedication, passion, and not only the people of Emuru and Dikiri, but the entire country.
Rachel Nyamai.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia fursa hii kuzungumza pole ya Mheshimiwa ambaye ametuaga, Mheshimiwa Ngeno, ambaye tulikuja naye bunge mwaka wa 2013. Ningependa kusema ya kwamba pole kwa familia yake, pole kwa bibi yake ambaye amebaki na watoto wadogo ambaye tumemuona na tukampatia nguvu. Pia huyu ni Mheshimiwa Spika ambaye alikuwa anajua wakati wa kupiga kelele akitetea watu wake, na wakati wa kuzungumza pole anapozungumza ndio watu wake waweze kusaidika. Kwa watu wote wa Emukuru Dikri, kwa wabunge wote na kwako Spika na sisi wote poleni.
Naomi wako Emurua Digiri. Naomi wako.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for mentioning that. A strong leader who was passionate in serving his people and transforming lives, especially the lives of artists and young people in our society. Having been elected 3 times, he must have demonstrated his love, concern, and capability of leading his people. I send my condolences to him. May his rose...
Millie Odhiambo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of my family and the people of Suba North, I also give my condolences on the demise of Honorable Johanna Ngeno and the people that he was with in that flight. Mr. Speaker, I know many people have struggled to call his constituency, but I call him by his constituency. I call him Emurua Dikir, because when I first came in as nominated, and I sat in a committee that was concerned with redistricting, he came to our committee, he sent delegations, and he was so passionate that when he finally got elected, I only knew him as Emurua Dikir. And Mr. Speaker, because now when he got elected, I was serving at the same time with him, we used to sit with him, compare notes, and share, and he was so committed to his constituency. Because of time, I want to say that he was fearless, funny, resolute, principled, no-nonsense, committed to justice.
Thank you. Member for Joro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are mourning our colleague, Mheshimiwa Ngeno, Joro constituency, myself and my family. We have sincerely lost a great man, a man who was reliable. He was available even for us members of parliament in our events. In my constituency, he has come very many times. Therefore, we are really mourning a good man, a man who was very hardworking. He is a man who also, we really struggled so much when we were fighting for our people. They were being evicted from their own farms in the name of evictions of Mau. Therefore, he is a champion who has really fought for his people not to be evicted in the farms. Therefore, as we mourn, may we pray for the family. We pray also for Kenyans to keep peace. We also request for Kenyans to be at peace and also ensure that we allow the investigating team to finish their work peacefully. Thank you so much.
Edith Nyanze.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Let me take this opportunity to pass my condolences. My condolences and those of my constituency to the family of the late Honorable Ngeno, especially to their young wife. I say pole because of the loss of your loved one. There are so many lessons which we can learn from our colleague, and some of the lessons is importance of youth involvement. We can also learn about leadership by example. We can learn about empowering others. We can learn about courage and conviction. We can learn about selflessness and dedication. And above all, we would also learn that we are in a journey, and the journey, we don't know when our journey will come to an end. So let me pass my...
Ambassador Sigai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving the opportunity to also join my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I've just come from Honorable Ngeno's house in Karen. Honorable Ngeno's constituency is a neighbor to mine. Mr. Speaker, the artists which Ngeno was always fighting for are mainly based in Kablong. And as we speak today, Mr. Speaker, a whole delegation from Kablong has gone to Emurua Dikir to go and pay homage to these great men. In the evening today, Mr. Speaker, in Kablong, our people are going to light candles. And in the other Sotik constituency, they are going to light candles to remember this man. We have lost a great man in the Gipsigis land. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ken Chonga.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi hii. Ama kweli bunge hili limepoteza mtu ambaye kwamba kila aliyemjua alimjua kwa ukarimu wake. Mheshimiwa Spika, bunge la 12 wakati mimi nimechaguliwa nikiwa sijamaliza hatujaanza ile recess ya kwanza, ninakumbuka kukutana na Johanna Ngeno kwa constituency yangu kwenye kikao ambacho sikuwa nimemwalika wala hata sikujua amealikwa na nani. Ilikuwa ni kikao cha vijana ambao wanaanza kujuza talanta zao. Nikakutana naye na sikuwa nimemjua kuwa ni mbunge. Mpaka wakati alipotambulishwa ndio mimi nikaona kwamba tuko wabunge wawili. Mungu ailaze pema peponi. Mheshimiwa Johanna Ngeno aliacha mfano ambao kwamba wengi tutang'ang'ana sana kuingia kwa viatu vyake, lakini haitakuwa rahisi. Mungu alaze mahali pema poponi.
Rose Museo. Rose Museo.
Thank you. Asante Bwana Spika kwa nafasi hiyo. Nachukua wakati huu kuweza kuomboleza Mheshimiwa Ng'eno ambaye tulikuja bunge na yeye tangu mwaka wa 2013. Kwa niaba yangu na familia yangu na watu wa Makueni, tumepoteza kiongozi aliyekuwa shujaa, kiongozi ambao tulimuenzi kwa vile ambavyo alikuwa na upendo mwingi mkubwa sana kwa watu wa huko wa eneo bunge la kwake. Tuseme ya kwamba Kenya imepoteza, Kenya inahuzunika, na tunaomba ya kwamba usafiri huu ambao unakuwa wa ndege zikaangaliwe sana kabla kuondoka, na pia warubani wafundishwe kuendesha ndege vyema ili maisha ya wabunge yasiweze kuwa hatarini. Na tunasema pole sana kwa familia yote ya Mheshimiwa Johana Ng'eno.
Ndindi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I join other Kenyans in mourning all the 6 Kenyans who lost their lives last week through the tragic accident. Honorable Speaker, we all know here that Honorable Ng'eno was a leader of his own kind, very courageous, brave, and always standing for what is right for the people. And I am sure, Honorable Speaker, that we can all learn a lesson in this House, that every time given a choice between standing on the side of the powers that be and standing with what is right for the people, that we must always choose to rise up, Honorable Speaker, and be counted by standing on what is right for the people of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, because they are the true bosses. We said our condolences to the family, and may peace that surpasses all understanding be with the family of Honorable Ng'eno and all the 5 other Kenyans who lost their lives alongside him. Thank you very
much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. For me to stand here today to eulogize my good friend, and indeed to me, I've lost a dear friend. Everyone knows that among the leaders who supported me, especially during campaign, is one Johana Ng'eno, who came several times. And even after election, he has visited Keses more than once on development or on social issues. Johana Ng'eno, we worked with him even in last year, December. We traversed even far beyond up to Uganda on support of artists of Uganda among those who are in Kenya. He is a man indeed that has shown and has grown his people. It is said back in his constituency, since he was elected, the community there was able to grow the education of their children more than enough now have gone to university. We've lost him, and I want to say that fair DJ Bambumbu, to the family, to the widows, so I, we want to say, God be with you, be strong, as we stick to say that God will raise another leader to take over from him. May his soul rest in peace.
Nyakundi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to convey my sincere heartfelt condolences on my own behalf, on behalf of the people of Kitutu Church-North, and also on behalf of Team Ground, where the Speaker is also part of that team. Ng'eno was a fearless, courageous man who fought for the rights of his people. He was one person who was very passionate of what he was doing, from assisting artists, fighting for his people, and more so, fighting for affordable housing. Most people were scared of affordable housing, but if there's one person who fought for the legislation of affordable housing and the markets, was this man called Johana Ng'eno. I remember 1 week ago we were with him in Isiolo campaigning for Tubi Mohamed Tubi, who is now a member of parliament. We remember Johana Ng'eno as one person who was a fine guy, one person who never walked with a bodyguard, but people just...
Mario.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance to eulogize our friend, our brother in this house. I want to give my condolences to the 6 who perished in that plane crash, and I pray that God may take care of their families and be able to comfort them, because He is the greatest comforter. What I would like to say is Ng'eno was a very good man, I approached him when I had a problem with affordable houses, and he was able to help me so that I could have gotten through whatever I wanted to get from the affordable houses. And I want to thank God that his life was an example to many, and he has gone having done a lot for the people
Janet
of his
Stienei.
constituency. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Janet Stienei.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to eulogize with my colleagues. I wish on my behalf and on behalf of the people of Turbo to condole with the families of the late Honorable Ngeno and the rest of the 5 who perished with him. I want to wish them that may God give them strength to bear the loss. That was a great man we lost. That was a man who stood and loved his constituency. May God rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, on my own behalf and that of my family and the people of Baringo North and Baringo County, I want to take this opportunity to condole with the family, the wife of Joanna Ngeno, his 2 children, his parents, and the great people of Emurua Digir, and the Kipsigis nation at whole, that we have lost a gallant soldier who had actually come to Baringo North 4 times. Kipcherere High School, Poi Full Gospel Church, Torloquanin AIC, Partaba Full Gospel Church, and always standing with me all the time. So, Speaker, this is a patriot that was able to help artists across Kenya, regardless whether they are Christians or secular. Is a fanatic, and I have gone to Kapkatet for that particular purpose. Even as we rest his soul, so Speaker, let the government also investigate what
Lengres. Lengres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to send my condolences and that of my family and that of the people of Samburu to the family of Honorable Ngeno, the people of Muradikir, and the people of Narok County at large. We say pole. And as we mourn the loss of Ngeno, the same day, Mr. Speaker, we lost 3 women who were killed by elephant. So our hearts are still very heavy, and we pray for both families. May their souls rest in peace. Thank you.
Women Rep Kericho. Kemei.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I want to pass my message of condolence to the family of our great brother, member of this House, Honorable Joanna Ngeno, whom until his demise was actually a great man of the soil, son of our soil, a great Kipsigis man, a great warrior, a great defender of justice and our heritage. Honorable Speaker, his laughter made many happy. It was actually bringing joy to many. And I would say that the artists were happy. And I remember one time I asked him why he's mixing the religious or the Christian and the secular. And he said, if you bring Christians alone, we will not have many people attending. So he agreed that next time he would want to separate so that maybe everybody else will join in. May the...
Komingoi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to eulogize my friend, Joanna Ngeno. The people of Kenya mourn, the housing industry mourns, the people of the Great Rift Valley are also mourning. Honorable Speaker, my sympathies also go to the staff that worked with Joanna Ngeno, the people who may have depended on him directly or indirectly, that now they will feel the loss, and we pray that God will keep them and watch over them all. Together with the 5 that perished with him, I pray that they will be kept well by the Lord in all their endeavors in this life. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Martin Owino. We're coming to an end. Be quick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Ndewa community,
where Honorable Ngeno came and did for us a Rambe. This is a guy who did not have any boundary when it comes to services to Kenya. Allow me to express my condolences and strength to the family and to the entire nation, because he was a national guy. May God bless the family and keep them strong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to join my colleagues in eulogizing a great son of Kenya. I wish to pass my condolences on behalf of my family and my constituents, Mbeere North. And I wish to really condole with the family, especially the immediate family, for this loss. And I ask Kenyans to pray for this young family. And I ask my colleagues not to forget that our colleague has left a young family, so that we are there for them, because words alone will not count in this difficult situation, but prayers and our presence will. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kaitanyi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I wish to pass my condolences to the family, the people of Emurua Dikir, for the loss of Mheshimiwa Johana Ngeno and the other 5 people who perished with him in the accident. We remember Johana Ngeno. I knew him way before he even joined Parliament, and Johana Ngeno has always been a very happy soul. And when we came to Parliament as first-timers, he took time. He always used to take time to take us through what needs to be done in Parliament. And I remember one time when I was actually passing a motion here, I didn't know what to do, and he walked and came to where I was and helped me pass the motion in Parliament. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the people of Nandi, the people of Mosop, who went out of their way, and especially one girl who had just learned about nursing.
Sabina Chege. Give her the mic. There's one next to you on the right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to eulogize my friend, a person we came into Parliament at the year 2013, a strong leader, Mr. Speaker. And I just remember when we were going to Narok to get his young wife, Mr. Speaker, that Honorable Ngeno was very happy, ever smiling, and so to his wife and children, may God console them. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to say, as leaders, let us support the family, but most importantly, let us love one another, because we never know about tomorrow. Fare thee well, Honorable Ngeno, and the other workers who are with him at the plane. May all their families be consoled. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sirma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to eulogize my great friend, Honorable Johana Ngeno. Ngeno was a person of principle. Ngeno was a person who would stand on his own and become what his people would like to be. Ngeno came to this parliament on 3 different tickets, not one, because it was his people who determined. He would have come in the earlier time of 2007, but because of the clashes which were there, he was not able to come. But what we are saying is the people of Emurua Dikir have really felt, and we feel equally, that we have lost a warrior and a leader. May the mighty Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you.
Honorable members, we'll end here. Thank you very much for all of you who have voiced your condolences to the family, friends of not only Johana Ngeno as our colleague, but Captain Were, who many of you have said you knew. In fact, Captain Were flew me, Aaron Cheriot, and Farouk Kibet 2 weeks ago from Narok to Kakamega and back to Nairobi. And is somebody we have all dealt with. And the staff and friends of Honorable Ngeno who are with him. Like I did say earlier, tomorrow morning you have passed a motion that we will not sit. The Requiem Mass is in a church in Karen called NGC. I think it's somewhere opposite the Catholic Church. I encourage all of us to be seated by 8:30 so that by 9 the service begins, and by 12:30 we come back to start Parliament at 2:30. Once again, we condole with the family collectively and individually. And those of you who can, please let's also go to Emurua Dikir on Friday to join the President and many other Kenyans to see off Honorable Ngeno and our other Kenyans. Next order. I direct clerk that the eulogies that have been made here by honorable members, the condolences by at least 50 of you this afternoon, be printed out and be sent to the family for their records. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We go back, honorable members, to statements, requests. Abubakar Talib.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security regarding mounting of roadblocks along public roads in the country. Honorable Speaker, Section 69A of Traffic Act, Cap 403, regarding mounting of roadblocks empowers the Inspector General of Police to, by notice in the Gazette, designate a place along a public road on which a police roadblock may be mounted. The Act further provides the roadblocks may be mounted in a non-designated place only in exceptional circumstances certified by the Inspector General or his authorized officer. Honorable Speaker, whereas roadblocks are intended to enable security agencies to regulate flow of traffic for purposes of responding to security issues and carrying out inspections intended for enforcement of traffic rules, there have been complaints that police officers across the country take inordinately long to clear vehicles at roadblocks. It is further claimed that some officers extort motorists at roadblocks instead of enforcing traffic rules. The long time taken to clear vehicles at roadblocks cause stretched traffic queues that delays travelers and transporters. Honorable Speaker, therefore it's against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security on the following.
Why are you switching him off all the time? Or is it just going off? Pardon? Okay, go ahead. You now have the mic.
Comprehensive
the technical staff to check where the mics are going on.
Comprehensive report on all gazetted and designated places for mounting of roadblocks along public roads, particularly major highways in the country and the current status. 2, the justification for mounting numerous roadblocks both during the day and at night along roads and highways across the country, including undesignated places. And 3, measures put in place by the ministry to ensure that inspections carried out at roadblocks are done seamlessly to avoid the long queues that cause delays on the road. Thank you.
Chair, Committee on Administration and Internal Security, Tongoyo, is not here. Any member of the committee? Majority Leader instructed them to bring a response in 2 weeks, or at least a week. The week we resume after the short recess. He will be informed. Next, Ojambo Undo. Question deferred. Response. Coach, are you ready? Go ahead. Is Onchoke in the house? Yes.
Thank you once more, Honorable Speaker. This is a response for a statement that was sought by Honorable Charles Onchoke regarding the reported coercion of Kenyan citizens to join the Russian military and whereabouts of Mr. Clinton Nyapara Mogasa and Mr. Justus Moyenda Ombati in Russia. Honorable Speaker, Dr. Charles Onchoke, MP person to the provisions of standing order. I think I'll go straight to the response, Honorable Speaker, so I don't waste time. And the response is as follows, Honorable Speaker. I report on whereabouts of Mr. Clinton Mogesa and Mr. Justus Ombati. The ministry, both at the headquarters and through our embassy in Moscow, has limited access to Kenyans in distress unless the same is reported by the family or diaspora leadership. This is more reason why a 24-hour diaspora call center was established under State Department for Diaspora Affairs to receive distress calls, contact family members, and be the first point of contact for distress cases reporting. At the mission level, the Kenyan Embassy in Moscow has continuously requested the Russian authorities to assess for access to information to ascertain the actual number of Kenyans involved in the military operation, the SMO, special military operation rather, those injured and also those that are deceased. These requests have been sent to the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. The mission is, however, yet to receive a response to the numerous requests for information or for consular assistance and further repatriation of Kenyans. The ministry, therefore, and after confirmation from our embassy in Moscow, wishes to report the following: that there has been no formal confirmation of the death of Mr. Clinton Nyapara Mogesa, passport number BK154412 from the Russian authorities. However, the mission has written to the Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation to request confirmation of this, and we are yet to receive the response, Honorable Speaker. Number two is there is no information related to Mr. Justus Moyenda Ombati, a passport number AK05-16222. The mission in Moscow has equally written to the Russian authorities to confirm and has been following up on the matter, but to this point there has not been any response. Number three is that immediate action is being taken by the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs to engage with the government of Russian Federation to repatriate Mr. Ombati and the remains of Mr. Nyapara. Honorable Speaker, as informed above, there is no information related to Mr. Justus Moyenda Ombati of passport number AK05-16222. The mission has written to the Russian authorities to confirm his whereabouts, but up to this point there hasn't been any response received. Honorable Speaker, there being no formal confirmation of death of Mr. Clinton Nyapara Mogesa of the passport that I read from the Russian authorities, it is difficult to ascertain the death, whereabouts, or the remains of Mr. Nyapara, so that any repatriation of mortal remains can be undertaken. The ministry, through the Kenyan Embassy in Moscow, has written the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation to request the confirmation of this, and we are yet to receive the response. The ministry has vowed that it will continue to follow up on this matter to its finality. The measures as requested by Mheshimiwa is that the measures that have been put in place to strengthen collaboration between the Russian government to curb fraudulent employment agencies and the target and suspecting Kenyan job seekers. Honorable Speaker, I want to say as follows: that this has been very emotive and close to all of us, especially when we read and hear about the young people taking up those jobs and end up dying. To this end, Honorable Speaker, the Prime Cabinet Secretary will undertake an official visit to Moscow. It's probably not nothing that, Honorable Speaker, I'll be, with your permission, I will be accompanying the Prime Cabinet Secretary on between the dates of 13th to 17th of this month to Moscow. The Prime Cabinet Secretary will undertake an official visit to Moscow, Russia, to meet his counterpart to discuss this matter and hope to bring to finality and protect not just the welfare and rights, but the sanctity of life of Kenyans in Russia. The ministry continuously holds meetings with officials of the Russian embassy in Nairobi, raising concerns regarding this matter, and are jointly working together to sift out rogue agents trying to process visas for Kenyans and following up on whereabouts of Kenyans as reported by families. The ministry continues to undertake sensitization on Kenyans through the media platform, Ngao, Barazas, educational institutions, labor mobility, pre-departure trainings, and other public forums in a bid to inform Kenyans of dangers of rogue recruitment agencies, fake non-existent jobs, and the challenges that come with not seeking information, verification, and engaging government in such ventures. As I conclude, no, not concluding, it's quite long, Honorable Speaker, but let me just do it quickly. Honorable Speaker, in addition to the above, the government continues to put in place measures to protect all Kenyans and working abroad, and including Russia, through bilateral labor agreements, to ratification of international labor conventions, continuous registration of Kenyans, established 24-hour diaspora call center, welfare checks, provisions of consular service, deployment of labor attaches, additionally, in liaison with State Department of Foreign Affairs. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the ministry has stated that they are keen to ensure that the welfare, rights and interests of Kenyans abroad are protected and will continue to employ all necessary measures to guarantee their safety and well-being. However, as we undertake all the above interventions as a government, the ministry has noted that Kenyans are not heeding their call against recruitment to Russia, but instead are taking a leap of faith in the hope of financial empowerment. This provides a clarity to the question of coercion, as information the ministry receives through engagement with some family members and even those who have returned indicate that some of those going to Russia to join the Russian army are willingly doing so. The ministry therefore urges Kenyans to desist from taking up jobs in Russian military. This is an active war zone and a war that does not involve our country, and death is almost guaranteed. I submit and I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Onjoke? You satisfied?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I thank the Chair, Honorable Nelson, for the response. Given that the remains of Nyapara has not been traced, and there are no plans or there are no indications of his return to Kenya, as well as Mr. Ombati, I would urge that the government continues to do what it needs to do so that our request is met. The families, as you can imagine, Mr. Speaker, are anxious. They are pained with the death and the loss, and with the disappearance, and with no hope of their sons coming back to Kenya, so that all this matter is put to rest. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kimani?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on this matter of young Kenyans being allegedly killed in Moscow, Russia, cuts across many young people in this country, Honorable Speaker. One of those young people is someone I have known in my earlier life before I came to Parliament, called John Mwangi Nduta, an ex-army officer who hails from Thika, Honorable Speaker. And I was very surprised this week to see photos of him on social media allegedly dying in the army, Honorable Speaker. And perhaps the chairperson needs to inform this House what measures are being taken in place to make sure that if Kenyans being taken for war in Russia actually are aware that they're being recruited to go for war. And number two, Honorable Speaker, that there is adequate training for them, Honorable Speaker, and there are adequate contracts that will shield them and their families in case of any eventualities, Honorable Speaker. And last, Honorable Speaker, although I had not raised this in the question, I'll be following up a follow-up question on the status of John Mwangi Nduta, who was already killed there. What measures will be done to repatriate his body back to his family, and even just official confirmation from Moscow on his status, Honorable Speaker.
Coach? Yes, on the same issue? Yes, Julius? Give Julius Sunguli the mic.
Mr. Speaker, as already indicated before, many of my constituents are involved in this. And I want to urge, I would.
Yes, Julius?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, as I said, I too am the same position as Honorable Kuria, that in fact there is a statement, request for statement which is yet to be approved by your office from me. But just to appreciate the answer of the chairman, but to say that let the embassy in Moscow be more thorough, because there are people we speak to every day in a hospital called Demikov, and in another hospital where people are admitted. One particular one called Tiepon, his legs have been cut, his palms have been cut, his hands and legs have been cut. He's simply surviving and he can talk to you very nicely. But he needs special Kenyan attention by the Kenyan embassy. And this trip that you're going to make, I think it would be good that it be more comprehensive. I would even have urged Mr. Speaker to actually actively get involved in it so that we who represent the people can actually go to see what happens.
I instructed the clerk to include in that delegation, on the request of the minister, the chairman of this Committee of Defense and the chair of Diaspora Committee. So they will represent all of us. Yes, Coach, those were just comments. Do you want to comment on comments?
No, I think they are very fair comments. All I can say, Honorable Speaker, is that maybe when we come back from the trip that you've, like you said, authorized,
come and issue a
we will
statement.
issue a comprehensive statement.
If not, the PCS will come here to answer questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Go back, clerk, to order number 5.
Order number 5, papers.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure. GK, can you stop being distracted and attend to business? I've gone back to order number 5 and I'm calling you out to lay your paper.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The good ladies who are making a good request. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay...
You looked overawed and overwhelmed.
I'm a feminist, Honorable Speaker.
Go on.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd March 2026. A report of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on its consideration of the miscellaneous fees and levies Amendment Bill National Assembly, Bill number 57 of 2025. Honorable Speaker, I lay. Thank you.
Under the same order, is the Chairman, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation ready to lay your paper? Or did you do it? Are you ready? Okay. Thank you. Go to order number 11. Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd March 2026, afternoon sitting. Supplementary Estimates 1 for the financial year 2025-2026 from the National Treasury and Economic Planning and the following accompanying documents. 1, the program-based budget. 2, the recurrent estimates. 3, the development estimates. And 4, the memorandum on supplementary estimates, number 1. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now go to order number 11.
Order number 11, the National Infrastructure Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2026, second reading.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the National Infrastructure Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2026, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, allow me first to thank the Chair and the Committee of Finance and National Planning that has considered this bill and taken it through a program of very rigorous public participation since it was read the first time in the House. And the Chair has just this afternoon tabled the report of the committee on their consideration of this bill, including the input of the public during public participation. Honorable Speaker, it is important to give a background on the genesis or the basis on which we find this bill in the House at this particular time, because it's not by accident, Honorable Speaker. Neither is it on second thought. This bill, Honorable Speaker, if you read the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, and specifically, Honorable Speaker, on page 10 of that manifesto, it said that we shall establish a national infrastructure fund which will be financed from the proceeds of privatization proceeds of state corporations that will be privatized, Honorable Speaker. And this gives us the genesis of the thought of having a national infrastructure fund twinned with the National Sovereign Wealth Fund. And not to mention, Honorable Speaker, that last year, in August of last year, this House also enacted the Government-Owned Enterprises Act that underpinned the basis on which we are now doing this National Infrastructure Fund. And I'm saying this, Honorable Speaker, because there are those who have made everyone to believe that this is an afterthought, or this is something that is being done as an afterthought without having any strategic thinking into it, Honorable Speaker. And it is these naysayers that I want to remind that this bill did not just find itself on the floor of this House. It has a basis of where it has come from. Let me also draw reference to what was said by His Excellency the President in his State of the Nation address last year. Honorable Speaker, if you allow me to quote, or rather to read part of that speech by His Excellency the President at the tail end of last year. And you remember, Honorable Speaker, the President had begun his speech by talking about 4 national priorities or national imperatives that we must as a country invest in, touching on energy, touching on water for irrigation, the construction of 50 mega dams and another 200 medium-sized dams to ensure that we no longer depend on rain-fed agriculture in provision of food. He also spoke about the investment, the huge investment that we need to put into the infrastructure of the expansion of our road network. And I remember him going through a whole list of projects, road projects that would be dualled. And of course, what caught my attention was the dualling of Muthaiga, Kiambu, Dumberi Road, and of course, the investment into a new expressway from Museum Hill all the way to Thika. Not to mention the Kericho, Kisii, Migori, Sabania Road, the Mau Summit, Rironi Road, Gong, Bomas Bypass, Karen Gong Bypass, of course, which touches Honorable Ngogoyo's constituency, and I can't see him smiling broadly here because he knows how long it takes him to come from Matasia to the National Assembly. But with the huge infrastructure investment in many of these, and many others, including the SGR extension, because we left an SGR and it was christened the railway to nowhere, because it was left hanging somewhere near Suswa after Dukamoja. And the expansion, or rather the extension of that SGR all the way to Kisumu, Malaba, and to our border with our neighbors, Uganda, and of course opening us to the landlocked countries in the Great Lakes region to expand trade opportunities between our country and the East African region. And the 4 imperatives that the President spoke to, he said that we must invest in those projects, not because they are cheap, but because they're imperatives. And they're imperative because these are what will take our nation to the next level. And in so doing, Honorable Speaker, I requested your indulgence to allow me to just read what the President said of these things. That he said, Honorable Speaker, that we cannot continue funding such essential and capital-heavy infrastructure from our own budget because it will necessitate that we continue either to borrow or to overburden taxpayers with additional taxation. And he said we cannot continue funding essential infrastructure through unsustainable borrowing or overburdening taxpayers with additional taxes. But neither can we afford to postpone these imperatives without risking our future. We therefore can't afford to postpone these imperatives. And I have heard some naysayers saying, oh, it is possible to build all these things without borrowing. It is possible to do it from our revenues. Honorable Speaker, the same naysayers who will also tell us that we have so much resources that we raise and so much that we are spending in repaying our debt and repaying our other obligations under the Consolidated Fund Services. And the President went on to say that there is a need to be innovative in the use of national revenues at our disposal. The revenues that we raise, we must be innovative in how we utilize them. But also in the deployment of national assets available to us and in creating public-private partnerships that will crowd in the enormous pool of private sector resources available regionally and globally. That is part of the objective of this bill, that we'll be able to crowd in the huge and immense resources that we have in the private sector, globally and regionally, to be able to raise more capital to invest in these capital-intensive projects. Honorable Speaker, the President went on to say that this is why we will establish the National Infrastructure Fund, whose architecture will be underpinned by the reforms in the Government-Owned Enterprises Bill, which was passed by this House in August last year, and he indicated at that time that he would be signing that law the following day, and which I can confirm the President did assent to the Government-Owned Enterprises Bill, which is now an act of Parliament. And that is what is underpinning this National Infrastructure Fund. And he went on to say that this fund is a strategic solution that will provide a framework to innovatively scale up our resources to match our ambition. It will fulfill our manifesto commitment to rebuild Kenya's infrastructure while reducing reliance on debt. We will do this by using budgeted resources prudently and introducing a financing architecture that leverages capital markets, diversifies ownership through unlocking of national assets through privatization, and uses the public-private partnership frameworks to channel private capital into public priorities. Honorable Speaker, for decades, and I remember the President alluding to that also, Kenya has privatized major public assets. This is not the first time that we are privatizing public assets. You remember we privatized KPLC, we privatized Kengen, we privatized Safaricom, and the call then was for us as members of Parliament and as legislators and policymakers to ask ourselves, what national asset exists today that we can show out of the privatization proceeds when we sold Safaricom, when we sold Kengen, when we sold KQ, or even KPLC? And we can't show anything, Honorable Speaker, because many of these privatization proceeds have always gone into financing our budget, and that money is spent either paying salaries or repaying part of our debt. And I must thank the President because he did commit that he will ensure any other privatization proceeds that we get from the sale of our national assets in the parastatals that are lined up for sale or for privatization, none, not a shilling, not a coin of that money will go either into repaying our public debt or into financing our budget to pay salaries or other recurrent expenditure, Honorable Speaker. And the President did say that the National Infrastructure Fund then will come in to break in that cycle. The cycle where you dispose of national assets and you have nothing tomorrow to show for it. And he said that all proceeds from the privatization will be ring-fenced, preserved, and reinvested into new infrastructure and wealth-creating assets. when ownership shifts to the private sector, Honorable Speaker, there is efficiency, and the benefits to the public, Honorable Speaker, don't diminish. Indeed, they multiply. And I have said here before, Honorable Speaker, I think when we were anticipating debate some time back on the sale of Safaricom shares, that if you look at the Safaricom before privatization, what it was, and the behemoth of an institution that Safaricom is today, courtesy of the privatization or the sale of shares by the government of Kenya to Vodacom, and also during the IPO of Safaricom to private sector players. The efficiency that came into that company and many others, and you see the same efficiency will come into KPC and many other institutions that have been privatized, that private sector efficiency coming into the public sector is only beneficial, and it never diminishes the gains or the benefits to the public. It only multiplies the benefits. That is why today Safaricom, KPLC, Kengen are more efficient, they are employing more people, they are generating more wealth, not just to their shareholders, but also to this country. Safaricom pays taxes in hundreds of billions of shillings every year. Safaricom, when the telecom industry was a monopoly of telecom, the old KPTC, Kenya Post and Telecommunications, where Honorable Chepkonga used to work, you know, that KPTC, former KPTC, is a pale shadow of what Safaricom today is. Not to mention that there are other players that have also come into the market in that space of telcos, Airtel and all the others, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, the intent of this National Infrastructure Fund is to leverage not just on private sector expertise and capital, but also to multiply the benefits to the public of what we hold as public assets. And those in this house, like Honorable Amboka, who has just walked in, who superintend or who oversight our public investments in state corporations, will tell you there is a lot of wastage of public resources in many of the state corporations that are in this country, Honorable Speaker. And one of the ways to ensure that we stem this wastage is to inject private sector capital and private sector expertise and management into this space, Honorable Speaker. And that is part of what the intent of this fund. This fund will be managed by a board of directors or a board of management that will be, or one, the language in the bill is that the board shall be competitively recruited, Honorable Speaker. And if you go, those who have bothered to read the bill, Honorable Speaker, and I say those who have bothered to read the bill because many just speak out there without even reading the bill and saying the board will have political appointees. This bill, Honorable Speaker, specifies the mode of appointment of the CEO. The board shall be recruited competitively from the private sector, Honorable Speaker, or independent board members, including the chair. In the past, Honorable Speaker, you know, chairs of boards and directors of boards have been nominated not in a very competitive manner, and we have seen a lot of political patronage in the appointment of chairs of boards. This, both the chair, the CEO, and all the independent directors or board members shall be recruited competitively, Honorable Speaker, to make sure that we have a board, a fund that is being managed in a very prudent manner and in a way that it gives priority to national or public interest, Honorable Speaker, other than political interests. Honorable Speaker, we are not the first nation to do this. And I think it's important to mention case examples, successful case examples of other funds like this that have done well. And this is a proven model that has worked in Australia. Australia's future fund is modeled around what we are doing today as a country. Therefore, when we say that we are moving from being a third world country to a first world country, it is not just in terms of the strategic interventions that have been made, but also in the legislation that we seek to make. And I must thank members because you are all here. We all participated in the enactment of the Government-Owned Enterprises Act. And I thank you for being here also to participate in the enacting of this National Infrastructure Fund. And I remember last year, if you remember, in his State of the Nation address, the President did challenge us that it is this generation, it is this 13th Parliament that will be remembered in the transformation of our republic when this nation eventually transforms from being a third world country, Honorable Speaker. I have mentioned the Australia's Future Fund, Honorable Speaker. If you go to Singapore, and I know the road to Singapore or the transformation of a country from a third world to a first world nation has been christened as a journey to Singapore. The road to Singapore, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, if you can protect me from my young old boy, or the Honorable Clive Gisairo,
Order, honorable members.
who attended the Alliance High School years after I left. And now he has the audacity to shout from his seat. He should know I was in charge of discipline, and Honorable Speaker, now you're in charge of discipline, so please discipline me to read the bill and contribute to the bill. And I was giving examples, Honorable Speaker, of places where these such similar funds have worked. I've mentioned the Australia's Future Fund, Singapore itself. The Temasek in Singapore is such a fund that has also worked for their country in the transformation of their country. UAE's or the United Arab Emirates Mubadala demonstrates that commercially run public investment funds can grow national wealth and deliver transformative infrastructure. That is the other intent of this bill, Honorable Speaker, that we will have a public investment fund that will not only grow our national wealth, but will deliver on that transformative infrastructure in the development of dams for irrigation, for provision of water, in the provision, generation, distribution, and provision of energy to be able to drive the industrial transformation that we intend to have, Honorable Speaker, which we have spoken for over the years. Honorable Speaker, I have had cases or a story being told of the investment. Almost, I don't know, a few $1 billion investment that was to come to Naivasha. And I wish the member of Naivasha was here. I hear there is a neighbor from Naivasha in Njoro who is behind me, the member for Njoro. The county of Nakuru was to benefit from a project worth billions of dollars in the provision of a data center or the construction and investment of a data center. But the only reason why that project has not taken off, Honorable Speaker, or could not take off, is because we didn't have the energy. And it was built with a huge investment in the geothermal wells in Olkaria, and those in Menengai. Probably we had enough energy to run that data center. But it became clear to the investors and to us as a country that we did not even have a third of the energy that was required. That data center had the potential to employ hundreds of thousands of Kenyans directly and many others indirectly, leave alone the immense FDI or foreign direct investment that would have come into this economy. But we lost that because we didn't have enough energy. It is that investment in generation of energy, distribution of energy that we must put in. It is that investment in that extension of SGR, our ports, both seaports and airports, Honorable Speaker. Look at the opportunity, Honorable Speaker, because every crisis comes with an opportunity, Honorable Speaker. The most efficient of world airlines are in the Gulf region. Qatar Airlines, Etihad, Emirates of this world. Today, they are all grounded for the last 3 or so days. People are stuck in Dubai, others in Europe and elsewhere. They have planes that Kenya Airways doesn't have, but they can't move. What if we had an efficient Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, state-of-the-world, Moi International Airport in Mombasa, world-class airport at Moi Airport in Eldoret, Kisumu International Airport, or even the one in Lokichogi, Honorable Speaker? Those are the opportunities that we missed today because we slackened or we delayed in making deliberate, huge infrastructural investments, be it in the development of our roads infrastructure or our sea and airports. But we cannot afford, Honorable Speaker, to wait anymore. We cannot afford, Honorable Speaker, to leave to what many want to tell us that, I've heard some tell us here that, Mwai Kibaki built one highway called Thika Road that was built at a cost of 28 billion shillings. And forget to tell us that Mwai Kibaki had the pre-2010 constitution. He never had any obligation to send 400 billion shillings every year to counties. And maybe for those who join this house later, than me and my friend Nelson here, or yourself, Honorable Speaker, may not know that this is the 13th, in the 11th Parliament, the then chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, fine gentleman, man of God, the Reverend Mutava Musimi, led the Budget and Appropriations Committee then, which was comprised of about 51 members then, around the country, auditing the implementation of the 2010 Constitution. And I would invite those who speak for political expediency many a times to speak to the gallery, to take their time, because that report is here in the table office, to go and read that report. Then you will see the dichotomy that is there before the 2010 Constitution and the challenges of administrations that came post the 2010 Constitution, or the administrations in this country that will have to implement the 2010 Constitution. Then you will understand, so that when you are speaking out there to seek cheap publicity, political publicity, Honorable Speaker, that sense may come back to you to speak as a leader, not as a politician. Speak to what is right. Speak to what is good for the country. Because these 4 imperatives that were spoken to us here in the State of the Nation address last year are not national imperatives for one leader or for this parliament. They are national imperatives for this generation of leaders and the next generation of Kenyans and generations to come. And that is why someone once said that politicians look at the next general election. That is why you'll hear people say things that they think will excite the masses for the next election. That is why you'll hear them talk about terms with no agenda, with no plan, with no thinking as to what they have for the country, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Honorable Mbui and Undo.
It is, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Ondo is very innocent. You know, Honorable Ondo listens to contributions because he makes sensible contributions in the House. It is those who are shouting because they know what they usually shout out there, who are shouting. I do not need to name them. They know themselves. It is like those who are celebrating the death of a colleague to make political capital in a rally in Nyahururu. Shame on them, Honorable Speaker. And shame on that person who was also shouting here, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this bill or this fund, how will it be financed? And I'm saying this for the benefit of the member for Kajiado North, that this fund will be financed with proceeds from privatization and disposal of government assets. So the proceeds of the IPO of KPC will not go to pay salaries for members of parliament or pay your mileage on a bongoyo. This money will come into this fund. Neither will the proceeds, should this House approve the partial divestiture of Safaricom by the government of Kenya, the money that will be raised will also come into this fund. 2, there will be parliamentary appropriations, and it is you as members of parliament who appropriate money into this fund as a source of fund. And of course, there are also, if you read in the bill, part 4 of the bill, part 6 of the bill, you also see that there also be other monies from any other source provided for or donated or lent to the fund, or even such fees, monies, or assets as may accrue to or be vested in the fund in the course of the exercise of its powers or the performance of its functions under the Act, should it become an Act, or under any other written law. Honorable Speaker, the establishment of this fund will significantly enhance the country's capacity to deliver, as I said, on transformative infrastructure projects in roads, railways, energy, water infrastructure, and other strategic national assets across the country. And Honorable Speaker, for those who have cared to go through the bill, if you read part 4 of the bill, the board of the bill is mandated to develop an investment policy, and it is this investment policy which must be approved by the Cabinet Secretary, and the Cabinet Secretary means the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary. It is this investment policy that will prioritize sectors that are proposed for development to ensure that there is equity across the nation, Honorable Speaker. 2, they will specify the proposed projects and see any existing incomplete projects from the previous investment policy to ensure that if they are proposed new projects, you must first complete any that were in the previous investment policy before you invest in new programs or projects, Honorable Speaker. 4 is also to give the expected rate of return on investment on specific projects. And this is to ensure also that money is prudently and transparently invested and in a way, prudently invested in a way that there is a good return. And therefore there must be a proper evaluation of the investments that are to be invested in to make sure that you do not deplete this fund. It will also specify the asset allocation and portfolio distribution and the exposure limits per sector and per project, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the board will also adopt an investment plan that will be based on the national strategic objectives, Honorable Speaker. And this investment plan, for instance, is the first board will be informed by what has already been debated in this House, those 4 strategic interventions that the President spoke to in the State of the Nation address, in ensuring that we invest in our human capital and education. Because, Honorable Speaker, the cost of education, not just in this country, globally, is very expensive. But it has been said that if you want to know how expensive education is, try ignorance or try not to educate your country, then you know then how expensive it could be if you do not educate. And therefore, we must invest in the education of our children. We must invest in water resources management, either through the construction of those 50 mega dams and the 200 medium-sized dams, generation of electricity, and also the growth of our industries, Honorable Speaker, through that generated power to create jobs for the youth that then we educate. And therefore, this bill is creating the provision under Part 3 that the board will have that responsibility of adopting an investment plan that will be based on those national strategic objectives. And that plan, Honorable Speaker, will form the basis of the annual performance contracts which the board must sign between them and the Cabinet Secretary of the National Treasury. Because we want to hold people to account. And that is why the bill has those particular imperatives that you must have a performance contract signed between the board so that we measure and evaluate how they are doing. If you promised us a certain rate of return, if you promised us delivery of certain infrastructure projects, if you are not able to do it, Honorable Speaker, when you are being evaluated, and for those who have cared to go through the performance evaluation in clause 20 of this bill, you will see that the bill provides for a very good mechanism of evaluating their performance, having a performance-based contract for the board and the management of this fund, Honorable Speaker, and also ensuring, as I said earlier, that there is competitive recruitment of both the board and the secretariat that will manage this fund, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that we have the best. And that is why you see even in the board, if you are Kimani Ichung'wah or Robert Mbui, and you have served in a political office or have been affiliated with a political party in the last 5 years, including those who serve as party officials, you cannot and you shall not be nominated for appointment to this board, because we must protect. Honorable Speaker, if you can protect me from this member for Kajiado North, Honorable Ngogoyo. And you know Honorable Ngogoyo was an MCA in Kajiado, and I had visited his ward when he was an MCA there.
Order.
It was ordinary for...
When I look at the screen here, my presumption was that you really want to contribute on this matter and order and say, but I only see you talking across the... You should communicate through the chair. And in any case, for God's sake, if you have some good ideas about this private infrastructural fund, then if you don't have a card, come and tell me that you don't have a card. And I'll pick you so that you can also make your contributions.
Honorable Speaker.
This is a house of debate. And the debate is also structured, it's done in a disciplined way. My Honorable Mbui, I'm sure you know that. This is your third term in the House. Proceed, Leader Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I think Honorable Robert Mbui is the one to blame because he turned next to Honorable Ngogoyo. And Ngogoyo, being a first-time member, may think in the House you just sit and shout one term or two term. Honorable Mbui is the one who should be helping Ngogoyo to tell him to read the bill and contribute to what is in the bill. And what is in the bill, Honorable Speaker, is to ensure that this fund is not misused. The bill has also put mechanisms in place which will include the fund being audited by the Auditor General, and that Auditor General will report to you as members of Parliament. You know, you are the ones who oversight the Auditor General, and all her reports, all the reports of the Office of the Auditor General, end up in this House. Therefore, you will have your place in making sure that whatever is audited comes to this House. That is why you see diligent people and chairs of committees like Honorable Amboka is very keen to listen because he knows these reports will come to him in his Public Investments Committee or PAC, for that matter. Two, Honorable Speaker, is to ensure that there is no overdrawing of this fund. You cannot overdraw this fund, Honorable Speaker, and that is an imperative that we are legislating in law here. Also to ensure that we cap the expenditure in the fund, that it shall never and it cannot exceed its annual income. Therefore, when the fund is established, they have a secretariat. If anybody imagines that is the opportunity to go and start buying buildings in town or buying cars for the chairman and directors and CEOs and whoever else, we shall regulate how much you can expend, and it must be within what you are generating. Two is a ring-fence withdrawal, as I said, even in terms of investments. What kind of projects are you investing in? Are they properly evaluated? Do they have a return? Are they commercially viable? Those are the issues, Honorable Speaker. Five is also to ensure that there is reinvestment of any surplus, so that if we have any surplus from the fund, that money doesn't just hang around like used to happen in many parastatals. And I must thank the National Treasury. In the last 2 years, Honorable Speaker, they have been able to mop up a lot of surplus funds in many of our public investments. And therefore, this fund, we're also saying, just like all other public investment funds, if there is any surplus, it must be reinvested to keep growing the fund, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I could belabor too many points in the bill, and I want to imagine that many members have read this bill and are aware of the provisions of what is in the bill. I would just implore on all of us to support this bill because it is establishing a very structured and transparent process that also identifies, evaluates, and even an approval process and financing of infrastructure projects in the country. And if you go through clauses 21 to 25, that very detailed structure and framework has been established, and one that will ensure there's transparency, even in how you identify projects, how you evaluate those projects, how they are approved, all that is put in the bill, and how those projects will be financed. Honorable Speaker, I mentioned the issue of the investment policy, which will be done and will subsist for a period of 5 years. Therefore, just allow me, Honorable Speaker, to conclude by saying that this fund is within the powers that have been vested by our Constitution to this House. And Honorable Speaker, you know our Constitution in Article 206, sub-Article 1A, empowers Parliament to establish other public funds for a specific purpose through an act of Parliament. And that is why I began by giving the genesis of where this fund is coming from, right from the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. When we campaigned around the country, we went to every village, every county in this country, and we told the Kenyan people that we will have a national infrastructure fund which we shall utilize to grow our economy. And you know where the economy was at that time, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, what we are doing today, this bill is giving effect to this constitutional provision by creating that very well-structured and accountable framework for infrastructure financing in the country without overburdening either the Kenyan people through additional taxes or overburdening future generations through additional funding. Honorable Speaker, allow me to conclude by just giving a simple example, and I gave you the example of the opportunity that we would have had if Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Moi International Airport, Kisumu International Airport, the airport in Lokichogio, the airport in Eldoret and Mombasa were state-of-the-art airports with good runways to accommodate your Airbus 320s and 330s and all the huge Boeing jets that are stuck around the world. It has been estimated, probably, Honorable Speaker, a new airport would cost us, or rebuilding of the JKI would cost us about 200 billion shillings. It would be very easy, Honorable Speaker, today to raise the 200 billion shillings or the 100 billion shillings that was raised from the IPO from Kenya Pipeline, and the 200 and something billion shillings that will be raised from Safaricom partial divestiture should it be approved by this House. Take 200 billion shillings and we go and build an airport. Yet people in the northern parts of Kenya are starving. Animals are dying there every day, including parts of our coastal region, areas like Magarini and other areas in Kwale. And even other parts in upcountry, even in parts of central Kenya, there are people who are starving because of the drought that was there. Thank God there are rains. So the competing priorities that we have as a country, we must decide, do we pay school capitation for our children, or do we go and build an airport? And we could easily get the 200 billion shillings from the IPO and invest it in building an airport. We have that railway to nowhere, that toll around Dukamoja after Suswa. It is not giving us a return on the investment that the Kenyan public put in the building of that railway. For it to be meaningful and give us a return on investment, it must be able to connect our port in Mombasa to the port in Kisumu and to the hinterland, landlocked countries in the Great Lakes region, Uganda, DRC, and the others. Therefore, with all these competing priorities, Honorable Speaker, do we finish building a dam in Galana Kulalu and provide food to the starving Kenyans, including hay to animals that are starving in parts of our country, or do we build the airport? It is possible to chew gum and scale the stairs at the same time, Honorable Speaker. That is what this fund is speaking to. This fund is inviting us to be able to chew gum and scale the stairs, to be able not to overburden the Kenyan public with additional taxes or additional borrowing, but also at the same time to invest in very capital-intensive infrastructure projects, that the building of a new airport, completion of that railway, SGR railway, completion of the dual carriage roads that we have mentioned, be it Mausami to Rironi, be it Marwa to Nanyuki, to Isiolo, to Meru, back to Makutano, be it the one in Gong, Karen, and back to Gong Road. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, what will this fund do? Because I've had many people ask that. Okay, so you are telling us you have a national infrastructure fund and you privatize companies, state-owned companies, put the money in the fund. Then you have told us you will not pay debt from that fund, you will not pay salaries, it will not be budgetary support fund. Instead of getting 200 billion shillings to go and invest in the building of a new JKI or a new airport here in Nairobi, any person that you invite to do a public-private partnership, even in the private sector, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know you are a very successful business person, you know, that whatever investment you make, Honorable Speaker, people leverage on equity. And people will have equity, then they go out and borrow. I'll have my 1 billion shillings. I want to invest in a 5 billion shillings project. That constitutes 20% of the investment in that project. So long as it's commercially viable, I go to the market, I raise another 4 billion shillings, then the project pays for itself. That is all government intends to do with this fund. The 200 billion shillings you raise from Safaricom or from Kenya Pipeline, instead of taking that 200 billion shillings, paying salaries, buying relief food, paying for our school capitation, we continue doing that as we have been doing through our locally raised revenues and what we are borrowing domestically and externally. But since the construction of an airport today is a huge commercial opportunity, and I alluded to that, supposing we had those efficient airports, all those world airlines in the Gulf had the opportunity today to use Kenya or Nairobi as their operation hub. You can imagine one airline going to Europe probably needs 3 sets of crews. That crew would need to be accommodated in hotels in Nairobi for them to come and change shifts. Imagine the investment opportunity in hotels, in our hospitality industry. Our taxis, our Uber drivers, having this hub as a connecting hub now between those countries where there is war and the rest of the world, Honorable Speaker. Today, somebody who was going to the US through Emirates or Qatar cannot. But if Qatar could operate from Nairobi, is a business opportunity and a commercially viable opportunity, Honorable Speaker. That is what I'm saying. If we take, say, we need 200 billion shillings to invest in a new airport. If we invite Honorable Robert Mbui as a private investor to come and invest in the airport, all Mbui will need is 50 billion shillings. Then he will go out and raise from the capital markets and financial markets another 150 billion shillings. That is the opportunity we want to tap into, Honorable Speaker. That we can have our 200 billion shillings, instead of investing a lot of it in that airport, we will take our 50 billion shillings, invite a private investor who will bring in the efficiency of the private sector to bring their 20 or 30 billion shillings, buy equity into that project of a new airport. And that new project will leverage on the equity that you have and the capital that you have to raise probably 5-fold or 10-fold the money that you are holding and be able to efficiently run a new airport that will repay itself. Therefore, instead of investing 200 billion shillings into one project, that 200 billion shillings can go into 10 projects. And that is how the President, in his State of the Nation address last year, for those who care to remember, alluded to how you can invest 5 trillion shillings in the next few years by leveraging on what we raise from our public assets that we privatize, leverage on that, raise more capital, invest in those capital-heavy infrastructure projects that will further grow our economy and create job opportunities for millions of our young people, whom we are very happy to keep lying to as we lecture them out there, telling them, oh, you will get jobs. Oh, go to school. We are paying for you school fees. You finish your schooling and you get jobs. But there will be no jobs if you don't grow this economy. And you will not grow this economy by taxing Kenyans or over borrowing. You will not. It is true. And Robert Mbui was telling us 2 years ago during the finance bill that you cannot tax the people to death. That is what now we are inviting you. Don't tax Kenyans to death. Let us have innovative new financing ways, models that have worked elsewhere, that have worked in UAE, that have worked in Singapore, that have worked in Australia, that have worked in Germany and other countries around the world. Because we aspire to be a first world country, that aspiration must be backed by solid legislation like this. Solid legislation that will ensure that we protect our public assets. Solid legislation that will ensure that the assets we privatize, that money does not go to waste. And generations to come will see a new SGR, will see a new airport, will see dams in Galana Kulalu, will see dams in Tana River, in Kilifi, will see a
Give him an additional 2 minutes just to wrap it up.
Honorable Speaker was saying a nation that will be able to feed itself. That will not happen by accident, Honorable Speaker. It must be deliberate and conscious effort by leaders. And I say by leaders, Honorable Speaker, because politicians will tend to speak to what they think will be exciting to the gallery. I want to invite you, honorable ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of parliament, please desist from the temptation to be politicians. I know next year is an electoral year, but Kenyans will remember you for the legislation like this that you passed, that protected the assets, grew the economy, and secured the future of our children. And I say our children for those of us who have children, and those of us who have young children, for that matter. Because I know some of us have children who are as old as me. But those with young children...
Order, MD, Majority Leader.
Sorry?
If it were not for politics, you would not be addressing this house. But there's good politics and there's bad politics.
There's good, yes,
so
Honorable
make the
Speaker, thank
distinction.
you. There's good politics, but there's backward politics. Retrogressive politics. That only seeks to excite the masses without speaking truth to them. I hear people saying, oh, I want to speak truth to power. Also speak truth to the people. Because the power belongs to the people. Power comes from the people. If you do not speak truth to them, they will punish you and punish you next year. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the very intelligent chair of the Finance and National Planning Committee, a leader, not just a politician, a leader par excellence, a first-class honor student, second-term member of parliament serving the people of Molo, and doing exemplary well in Molo. And I say that because I have investments in Molo and I know what is happening in Molo, Honorable Speaker. A man who has dedicated his life to the transformation of this country. The member for Molo, my namesake, the Honorable Kuria Kimani. And the chair of Finance Committee will second this motion. And he's a great man. Wait and...
Thank you very much, my leader of majority. And you forgot to mention, there are only less than 150 FCPAs in this country, and I'm one of them in this house. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second this particular bill, the National Infrastructure Bill, Bill number 1 of 2026. Honorable Speaker, to pick from where the leader of majority party left, we have been living a lie as a country, telling ourselves that we can develop our country from the revenues that we collect and the loans that we seek, whether domestically or in foreign loans. Honorable Speaker, in this financial year, we anticipate to collect 3.32 trillion shillings as ordinary revenue. Out of this, 1.098 trillion will go to repayment of, not repayment, will go to payment of interest on loans, not the principal, interest on loans, 1.098 trillion. These are loans that were taken for the Eurobonds, that did the infrastructure, some of the infrastructure that we see, and for loans that some were stolen, the proverbial 2 billion shillings that was being stolen every day. 205.2 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker, goes to payment of pensions. Honorable Speaker, another space that has been managed by previous administrations has been the issue of pensions. For a very long time, even now, members of this House have messages from their teachers who are retired, from police officers who are retired, from army officers who are retired, trying to tell them, please help me get my pension. So why is it not possible that our teachers, our civil servants are retiring and the money that they saved as their pension is not available? It's because, Honorable Speaker, we have kept budgeting for monies for our pension in our annual budgets. And for a very long time, until this administration enacted or started the public pension superannuation scheme that now sets aside both the contributions of the employee and the contribution of employer to a kitty, to a fund, so that when these people go on retirement, that money is available to pay them. Both the lumps of money and the monthly pension, Honorable Speaker, is available. Our contingent, the money that we send to our counties, Honorable Speaker, in terms of equitable share, is around 405 billion shillings a year, Honorable Chairperson. Our recurrent expenditures is around 960 billion shillings. These are the salaries we pay for our teachers, the police officers, and all the other civil servants, Honorable Speaker. When you take out all these statutory deductions, which fall the first charge in our other revenue, the only money left for development is 29.8 billion shillings. For information, Honorable Speaker, 29 billion shillings can only build between 30 to 90 kilometers of roads. So if we continue staying and living the way we are doing, if we continue running the economy the way we are running, we would only be able to build a partially 30 to 90 kilometers per year, Honorable Speaker. And that's why the reckoning call is, how do we balance the need for development expenditures, the need to honor our constitutional mandates, whether it is the requisition fund or our pension obligations or our salaries for recurrent expenditure, Honorable Speaker, or the capitation for schools, without doing what Kenyans told us to do, not to do. They do not want additional taxation. They do not additional borrowing. So how then do we grow our country? Do we do our infrastructure when balancing this particular interest, Honorable Speaker? That's why, Honorable Speaker, the National Infrastructure Fund bill is a game changer in this particular matter, Honorable Speaker. The fund is being proposed to achieve several purposes. One is to scale up and accelerate development of a catalytic national infrastructure, like our national highways, our railway networks, our air and seaports, our electricity generation, our transmission and distribution, water reservoirs, irrigation, and even agribusiness infrastructure. Honorable Speaker, I've had a chance to canvass this country when processing the partial diversity of Safaricom shares, and during this infrastructure fund bill, we did 30 counties, Honorable Speaker. And we traveled from West Pokot to Wajir to Marsabit. And we also went to Nyeri and Murang'a and Nakuru and Baringo and everywhere else, Honorable Speaker. And it's like we live in different countries. For some countries, for some counties, for some constituencies, we have tarmac roads going to every homestead. We have homesteads that have had tapped water since independence. Not since Kenya Kwanza administration, not since Kibaki's administration, but they have had tapped water, Honorable Speaker. But once you go to other parts of the country, it's extremely dry. Some constituencies don't have even a smallest inch of tarmac. Some counties, Honorable Chairperson, are not even connected to the national grid of electricity. Honorable Speaker, the reality is now, how do we ensure that the counties and the constituencies that have tarmac are now need social infrastructure, get the social infrastructure they need, but at the same time, those constituencies, those counties that need the hard infrastructure, like roads, like dams, like electricity, like electrician, get that without, Honorable Speaker, increasing taxation for taxpayers or increasing debt, Honorable Chairperson. And that's why this bill is meant now to reduce the reliance on public debt for the financing of commercially viable infrastructure investments, to strengthen the national capacity for irrigation, structuring and execution of large and complex infrastructure projects, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Speaker, the bill represents a pivotal moment in our nation's quest for sustainable, debt-light infrastructure development. And as chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, I'm very proud that I'm midwifing this bill that will have the most consequential impact of our country. Honorable Speaker, let me remind you that a few years ago we had one of the most successful then debt that was acquired by this country, Honorable Speaker, the Eurobond. The Eurobond was approximately 200 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker. And this is a payment that if